Chapter 148. Erect their heads. Li Qinshuan said coldly. Immediately, a group of rogue warriors erected sharp wooden stakes in the small town, and the heads of nearly 1,000 mercenaries were chopped off and impaled on the stakes. The village was filled with a strong smell of blood. Lin Muyu glanced at the rows of heads, and he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. Although he had been in this world for a long time and gradually got used to the cruelty and killing here, a group of people who were alive and well before had now become cold corpses. The eyes of the heads were round and wide, and it was really terrifying. At this moment, the white-haired and bearded village chief appeared in front of Li Qinshuan and the others under the escort of a few rogue warriors. He cupped his fists and said, "I'm the Li Zhang, Lord of Blue Lake Town. Shut up." Li Qinshuan interrupted him with a cold voice and asked, "How much pure iron do you have in the blacksmith shop of Blue Lake Town? Take them out or don't blame me for being rude." The Li Zhang's face was livid. "Sir, the House of Chivalry is here to serve justice, and the thousands of villagers in Blue Lake Town are relying on these pure iron to survive. Please let us go, sir. Cut the crap." Li Qinshuan stepped forward and kicked the Li Zhang, raising her eyebrows, and said, "Gather all the young women in this town quickly." Lin Muyu hurriedly asked, "Sir, why do we gather their women?" Li Qinshuan said lightly, "The House of Chivalry needs young women, be it maids or servants. We don't have enough money to buy them from the female slave market, so we can only select from this town." "But this is not a selection, this is a primitive and despicable invasion. Lin Yen." Li Qinshuan's eyes turned cold and she shouted in a low voice, "Don't forget your own identity. You are a silver venerable warrior of the House of Chivalry, and you also need women. I am working for the House of Chivalry, why are you obstructing me? Do you want to be the enemy of the House of Chivalry?" Lin Muyu clenched his fists, and a faint true inner force lingered around his fists. Luo Yu could tell that something was amiss. She hurriedly cupped her fists and said, "Sir Envoy Liu, Lin Yen has already killed Nye Yen. Logically speaking, his achievements are enough for him to be ranked as a Golden Exalt Wanderer. I hope that Sir can forgive his slip of the tongue." Li Qinshuan smiled coldly and said, "Lord Lin Yen, I hope you understand what you are doing. You are about to become a Golden Venerable Wanderer, so you should not have said such ridiculous things. The maid system has always been a rule of the House of Chivalry. If there are no beautiful women as rewards, how many people do you think will be willing to work for the House of Chivalry?" Lin Muyu remained silent, but his fists were still clenched and his veins were bulging. He looked like he would explode at any moment. Long Yen patted his shoulder and laughed, "Lord Lin Yen, there was a time when we all had a dream. We thought that we would be able to be chivalrous and travel the world. But the truth is not so. We need money and women to travel the world. We are mortals after all and cannot escape death. So why not enjoy life while we can?" Luo Yu looked at Lin Muyu, and a look that he could not bear flashed across his eyes. Lin Muyu slowly unclenched his fists and said lightly, "Li Qinshuan, you are right. I have no objections." "Ah, that's right." Li Qinshuan raised his eyebrows and laughed. "In this world only the strong are respected. Whoever has the hardest fist can enjoy genin coins and women. The House of Chivalry can shelter you, but naturally we need you to be loyal to us. Do you understand?" "Yes." Lin Muyu cupped his fists and leaped onto his horse. He stood there alone and closed his eyes. His long eyelashes trembled slightly, and he could not bear to watch or listen to everything that was happening in front of him. The cries of young girls filled the air. There were about 200 young women in Blue Lake Town, and all of them were shackled and chased by the rangers to the House of Chivalry. It was only then that Lin Muyu realized that the shackles were not prepared for the mercenaries, but for the young women. Li Qinshuan did not intend to let the mercenaries live from the beginning. Lin Muyu rode his horse slowly at the back of the group. He had mixed feelings. He did not know if what he was doing was right or wrong, but he had no other choice. Every step he took in the shattered tripod realm was like walking in mud, and he could not escape. Just as Long Yen had said, he was a mortal, not a god. He could not control the world with one hand. The cries of young girls echoed in his ears. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and could not help but let out a long sigh. It seemed like he could not change everything by himself, but what could he do? He looked at Li Qinshuan, who was in front of him, and clenched his fists again. He swore to himself that no matter what happened in the future, he would kill this person with his own hands. It was already evening when he returned to the headquarters of the House of Chivalry. Ji Yang, the Grand Tour ambassador, had specially held a celebratory feast for everyone, but Lin Muyu did not taste the food at all. He did not even notice when Luo Yu put on the golden Jinzun Ranger badge for him. He was in a daze, and the laughter of the venerables and rogue warriors could be heard from outside. After the banquet, he stepped out of the headquarters and saw Wang Tianfu from afar. At this time, Wang Tianfu was wearing a silver Venerable Ranger badge. It seemed that he had also been rewarded for the 1100-year silver fox spirit stones and had become a silver Venerable Ranger. Wang Tianfu also recognized Lin Muyu. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said respectfully, "Lord Lin Yin, you are already a Jin Zun." Lin Muyu nodded. "Didn't you also become a silver Venerable Ranger?" "Ha." Wang Tianfu was a little embarrassed. He said, "Lord Lin Yin must know how I became a silver Venerable Ranger. It was just a coincidence. Lord, on the other hand, became a Jin Zun Ranger with his own ability. Everyone in the house is talking about the story of Lord killing Nye Yin." Lin Muyu was not in the mood to chat. He nodded and walked away. At this moment, there was a heart-wrenching scream of a girl coming from the house next to them. There was a group of girls waiting outside, and a few silver Venerable Rangers were waiting there with a smile on their faces. They were talking to each other. "Hey, it's my turn next. That little girl is so pretty." I'm in luck this time." Lin Muyu quickly walked over. His face was pale. "What are you doing?" A silver Venerable Ranger immediately cupped his fists and smiled. "It's Lord Lin Yin. These are the spoils of war that we took from Blue Lake Town during the day. The brothers are having a feast for these virgin girls. If Lord Lin Yin is interested, we will reserve the most beautiful one for you. How about it?" Lin Muyu frowned and said, "No, no need." The silver Venerable Ranger immediately rubbed his chin and smiled. "Are you sure you don't want them? If you are, then I will take your share. Thank you for your reward, hee." Lin Muyu suddenly felt a pain in his heart. Yes, even if he did not want them, those girls would still not be able to escape their fate. He gritted his teeth and said, "Then, I want 3 girls. Send them directly to my room." "Okay, send someone to send them immediately. I guarantee that they are all unopened." The silver Venerable Ranger's face was full of flattery. Lin Muyu was disgusted. He took his sword and walked away. But his ears were filled with the screams of the girls in the houses on both sides. He hurriedly covered his ears and left the place as if he was fleeing. "Linji, oh Linji, since when can you tolerate this?" He kept blaming himself in his heart. His face was pale. He rushed all the way to the mountainside. Finally, he could no longer hear the screams of the girls. His legs gave way and he knelt under a rock wall. He knew that it was useless to blame himself. Even if he did not kill Nye Yen with Li Qianxuan's strength, she could destroy this group of mercenaries. He was just a small chess piece. Full of anger, he turned over and went straight to the rock wall. He suddenly raised his arm and Do Chi circled around his fist. Bang! He punched the rock wall. Immediately, stone chips flew everywhere. At the same time, there was a sharp pain in his fist. After all, he was still a flesh and blood body. How could he go head-on with a hard rock? But he did not stop. He punched the rock again and again as if this was the only way to relieve the pain in his heart. Not long after, his fists were a bloody mess. "That's enough, Lin Yin." Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Lin Muyu could not help but be stunned. The person who came was so quiet that he did not notice. He turned around and saw that it was Luo Yu. Patter, patter, the blood on his fist kept dripping onto the grass. Seeing his injuries, Luo Yu couldn't help but knit her brows and said, "Sir Lin Yin, this is the first time you've entered the Hall of Chivalry. This is a pain you must experience. I can understand this pain because I've experienced it myself." Lin Muyu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. His arms were surrounded by Do Chi. "Luo Yu, as a tour envoy, why did you not stop Li Qianxuan?" Luo Yu was shocked. He could feel Lin Muyu's anger. He also knew that Lin Yin was a heaven-state cultivator. It was not a joke that he could kill him in a few moves. But he did not panic. Luo Yu took a deep breath and said, "Because I am a commoner, while Li Qianxuan is a noble. She is the cousin of Ji Yao, the lord of Shangyang City and one of the 13 uncles." "Birth and bloodline again?" Lin Muyu laughed coldly. Luo Yu gritted his teeth and said, "Master Lin Yin, although you have entered the heaven state, I have to say that your strength is still below that of the great tour envoy Ji Yang. If you do not want to die, you have to obey." "Luo Yu, have you never thought of changing all this?" Lin Muyu looked at Luo Yu, his eyes filled with contempt and disdain. He did not hide his contempt for Luo Yu at all. Luo Yu gritted his teeth and met Lin Muyu's gaze. He felt as if his heart was being twisted by a knife. Ever since Lin Muyu entered the Hall of Chivalry, he had respected Lin Yin, whose strength was unfathomable. But now Lin Muyu was looking at him with such disdain. It made him feel extremely uncomfortable. My strength is not enough to change everything. After a while Luo Yu said this plainly. Lin Muyu spread his arms and his Do Chi turned into true dragon primary fire. The murderous intent in his eyes intensified. Master Luo Yu, tell me, will you help me hide the secret of my strength? Luo Yu's eyes were filled with pride. Master Lin Yin, what kind of person do you think I am? If you don't trust me, you can kill me now. Lin Muyu was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, the Do Chi in his arms dissipated and his murderous intent disappeared. He smiled and said, Master Luo Yu, you are a good person. I can't bear to kill you. Luo Yu smiled knowingly. Chapter 149. In the dead of night, Lin Muyu picked up the burning prairie sword and wrapped his fist in gauze. A huge rock had been smashed into powder by his fist. He had vented his anger and it was time to go back and rest. His living quarters had been changed to the courtyard that only the Jinzun Rangers had. 4 wandering warriors were guarding outside the door. When they saw him, they immediately bowed respectfully. Master Lin Yin, you're back. The delicacies have been prepared for you. They're in your room. There are 3 of them and they're all beautiful girls. Lin Muyu nodded. Got it? He pushed the door open and with a squeak he immediately heard some stuttering sounds. Following the dim light of the oil lamp, he saw 3 girls with their hands and feet tied and placed side by side on the bed. They were 3 beautiful girls. It seemed that Ji Yang had indeed bribed him, or he wouldn't have given him such a delicious meal. He walked to the bed and slowly sat down. Immediately, the face of the girl closest to him was filled with fear. After he removed the cloth from her mouth, the girl panicked and loudly begged, Don't touch me, spare me, please spare me. Lin Muyu shook his head, his face full of helplessness. Don't worry, I won't touch you, but don't scream anymore. If you attract others here, I might not be able to protect you. The girl looked into Lin Muyu's eyes and nodded slightly. Lin Muyu untied the girl and then went to untie the second girl. However, just as she removed the cloth from the girl's mouth, the girl suddenly opened her mouth and bit Lin Muyu's palm. She refused to let go and looked at Lin Muyu with a pair of bright eyes full of hatred. However, Lin Muyu's body had been tempered, and this girl didn't have any cultivation. She couldn't bite Lin Muyu's skin at all. It only made him feel a little pain. Looking down at the tall girl, Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, Have you bitten enough? If you have, then let go. You should be tired. The young girl's eyes were filled with tears. The moment she let go of her hand, she tried to hit her head against Lin Muyu's arm. However, how could she do any harm to Lin Muyu? On the contrary, her arm was easily grabbed by Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu raised her finger and her Do Chi was dense. With a shwa-shwa sound, the rope that was binding her was cut into pieces. Then, with a gentle push, she was pushed away. Enough. He said indifferently, I don't want to hurt you. You don't have to do this. Sir, please don't blame Xiaoqin. Her parents were killed by the mercenaries in the morning. That's why she's like this. Please don't blame her. Lin Muyu nodded. Well, don't worry. I won't hurt any of you. As he spoke, he untied the rope of the third girl. Looking at their tired expressions, he asked, Are you hungry? The girl called Xiaoqin shook her head stubbornly. The other 2 girls nodded. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. These girls must have not eaten or drunk anything since noon. Thinking about it, the people from the Hall of Chivalry were really bastards. They wanted to enjoy these girls, but they didn't even give them the most basic living conditions. They were really inhumane. And they even shouted the slogan, Treat people with kindness. It was really hypocritical. Walking out of the door, he said to the few rogue warriors outside, Help me get some food. Enough for 3 people. One of the rogue warriors nodded respectfully and smiled. Sir, do you want to feed them before enjoying a good meal? Sir Lin Yin is really a man who has tender feelings for women. Actually, Lin Muyu really wanted to slap him to death, but he held back and said, Go quickly. Yes. Not long after, the rogue warrior returned with 3 bowls of meat soup and a few steamed buns. Lin Muyu took them and returned to her room. She closed the door and put the food on the table. She waved her hand and said, Eat. Only when you're full will you have the energy to think about the future. The girl in red asked, Sir, how do you want to deal with us? I won't kill you anyway. Lin Muyu looked at the changing expressions on their faces and smiled. Of course, I won't touch a single hair of you. You don't have to worry. The girl in red said, Sir Lin Yin, you don't have to make things difficult for yourself. Actually, the 3 of us know that after being taken into the Hall of Chivalry as maids, we are destined to serve different men. Hong Yu doesn't beg you to let us go. I only hope that you can keep us here and let us serve you. Another girl in yellow wiped her tears and said, I heard that the Hall of Chivalry also robbed Black Rock Village before. Most of the women who were kidnapped died. Those rangers don't even treat women as human beings. On the contrary, Xiaoqin was the calmest. She said with an ashen face, since we can't escape death in the end, the process doesn't matter anymore. Lin Yin, do what you want to do to us. I don't care. Lin Yin couldn't help but smile. He raised his eyebrows and said, do what to do to you? Xiaoqin, do you think I'm the murderer who killed your parents? Do you think I want to do something to you so badly? Let me tell you, you don't have to talk to me like that. I'm not interested in you. You're not qualified. Xiaoqin was stunned. The pride that the Jinzun Ranger emitted made her deeply feel how small and laughable she was. At this moment she realized that she might have been wrong. Sir Lin Yin, Xiaoqin wanted to change the way she addressed him, but she didn't know where to start. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, don't say anything. Hurry up and eat. We'll talk after you're full. I'll find a chance to send the three of you out, but don't make it too obvious. Yes. The eyes of the three girls lit up with hope. Soon the three of them were full. Lin Muyu sat on the recliner and took off her light armor. She took a deep breath and said, the three of you sleep on the bed. I'll sleep here. Remember, don't cry anymore. From now on, the three of you are my people. As long as you don't step out of this room, no one can hurt you. Do you understand? Yes, we remember. Sleep. Yes. Lying on the recliner, Lin Muyu thought about how to deal with these girls. If he left them in the headquarters, he would end up harming them. The group of hungry mercenaries outside stared at each of the maids. These three girls were considered to be above average, so it was only a matter of time before they were targeted. But if he sent them away, where could he send them? Moreover, how could he send them away? With a sigh, he felt tired and fell into a deep sleep. Not long after, Lin Muyu was already snoring softly. But under the light of the oil lamp, the three girls were still awake. 3 pairs of eyes stared at Lin Muyu. They were sure that this handsome ranger wouldn't do anything to them, but they were extremely nervous. They didn't know what to do, and they didn't know if they should trust the person in front of them. Xiaoqin gently picked up the knife on the table. Her eyes were filled with hatred as she walked barefoot towards Lin Muyu. Xiaoqin. Hong Yu called out softly and dodged the knife. She stared at Xiaoqin. Are you crazy? Sir Lin Yin clearly wants to protect us. What are you trying to do? Xiaoqin sneered. All the crows in the world are black. He's treating us so well just to make us feel that he's worth relying on. He wants us to serve him willingly. That's all. Hong Yu gritted her teeth. Xiaoqin, you're really stupid. Why would he do this? If he used force, none of us would be able to escape that fate. If you kill him now, not only will we not be able to escape, but we will also kill a good person. Xiaoqin trembled and stood there, not knowing what to do. Sleep? Hong Yu helped her to the bed. When the two of them lay down, they looked back and saw that Lin Muyu had opened her clear eyes and was looking straight at them without saying a word. My lord, Hong Yu shouted in panic. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, Don't worry, I don't blame you. I've seen everything that happened in Blue Lake Town today, but I had no choice. Saving the three of you was the best I could do. Thank you, sir. Sleep? Yes. The night passed. Early the next morning, someone knocked on the door and said respectfully, Sir Lin Yin, the great wandering ambassador, invites you to the headquarters for a meeting. Please be there in half an hour. Okay, got it. Lin Muyu turned over and got up, putting on his armor. Before he left, he ordered a few rogue warriors who were guarding the room to send food to his room on time. After that, he washed up, ate a quick breakfast and went straight to the headquarters. He knew very well that he would not be a Jinzun Ranger for nothing. Ji Yang would definitely use him to do things for the Hall of Chivalry. On one hand he could make use of him, and on the other hand he could prove his loyalty. After entering the headquarters he found Li Qianxuan, Luo Yu, and the other 4 Jinzun Rangers were all there. Sir Lin Yin, please take a seat. Long Yin raised his hands and bowed. There was already a seat for Lin Muyu here. It seemed that he had enough status in the House of Chivalry's imperial capital, but he was not close to the Grand Wandering Chess Envoy Ji Yang. Okay, since everyone is here, let's discuss the attack on North Mountain today. Ji Yang said. Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, Great Wandering Ambassador, the terrain of North Mountain is very steep. It is easy to defend and difficult to attack. The mercenaries guarding the mountain are also elites. It will not be easy to attack. I think we should take it slow. No, we can't wait any longer. Ji Yang's eyes turned cold and said, The Tianjing mercenary group has more than 5,000 people. They are a huge threat to us. Although they are just a bunch of unruly people, if we can take down these 5,000 people, think about it. In the Dragon Forest, which force would dare to go against the Hall of Chivalry? Even the 30,000 Imperial Guards guarding the capital would have to be wary of us. Li Qinshuan cupped his fists and said, "Great Wandering Ambassador, please let me lead the troops to attack North Mountain." Jiang shook his head and smiled. "No, in terms of attacking, Sir Luo Yu is more suitable. How about this? You Luo Yu will lead the 3 Jinzun Rangers, Lin Yen, Long Yen and Fang Xian, as well as 1,000 men to attack the mountain. If we can take down North Mountain, the credit will be greater than heaven." Luo Yu was silent for a few seconds, then cupped his fists and said, "Yes, sir." Chapter 150. On the square of the headquarters, a large group of venerables and rogue warriors got on their horses, ready to fight in the North Mountain. Lin Muyu held the burning prairie sword and led the horse, walking slowly in the crowd without saying a word. Long Yen held the battle axe and said casually, "Damn it. After all, we're not related by blood. Leave the hard work of attacking the mountain to us. Luo Yu Yui, I think we can just pretend to attack, what do you think?" Luo Yu smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Not long after, more than 1,000 people went down the mountain, which was about half of the people in the headquarters. There were even a lot of carriages coming to deliver food. It seemed that Ji Yang wanted to take down the North Mountain, or he wouldn't come back. Lin Muyu rode slowly and glanced at the people behind him. This time there was a UE 3 Jin Zun Rangers, 12 Silver Zun Rangers, 24 Bronze Zun Rangers, 91 Iron Zun Rangers, and 172 Venerables. At least 2/3 of the elites in the headquarters were here. Lin Muyu had seen the strength of the Tianjing mercenary group. In the mercenary group, there were only a few Earthrealm warriors, and most of them were just ordinary people with physical strength. Compared to them, the Tianjing mercenary group was indeed a motley crew. It wasn't impossible for Ji Yang to destroy the North Mountain with more than 1,000 rangers. Whoosh! Long Yen opened a map and looked at it carefully. "We'll arrive at the North Mountain in the afternoon. Should we attack the mountain immediately, or should we set up camp and rest for a while before attacking the mountain tomorrow?" Luo Yu's eyes glinted coldly. The Tianjing mercenary group is famous for being cruel and violent. Since we've brought more than half of the elites in the headquarters, don't hesitate and finish the battle quickly. Yes. At noon they took a break in the mountain. They drank some wine and ate some meat pies. Lin Muyu led the horse to the side of the road. The snow melted, and the withered grass under the snow was enough to provide food for the horse. But at this moment, he suddenly sensed a faint fluctuation from his spiritual pulse spell. He raised his eyebrows. About 2,000 meters to the north, a dense aura was fluctuating and moving. People were coming, and several of them were Earthrealm warriors between level 30 and 40. Lord Luo Yu envoy. He turned around and said, "A few miles to the north, some people have come to ambush us. I don't know how many of them there are, but it seems like our whereabouts have been discovered. Prepare for battle." Luo Yu stood up and unsheathed the sword on her waist. She sneered, "The Tianjing mercenary group actually dared to give up the terrain to fight with us. They're simply courting death. Shield bearers, archers, get ready." Lin Muyu also took the bow from the horse's back and hung the quiver on her waist. It was time to show off her real archery skills. Not long after, the sound of hooves could be heard. A group of Tianjing mercenary group's cavalry had already rushed over. There were roughly 2,000 of them. Luo Yu couldn't help feeling a little surprised. She turned to look at Lin Muyu and said, "It's all thanks to Lord Lin Yan's foresight. How did you do it?" Lin Muyu smiled mysteriously. "It's a private supreme art. Sorry, I can't tell you." Luo Yu laughed and didn't pursue the matter. At this time, the people of the Tianjing mercenary group in the distance had already drawn their swords or brandished their spears. They spurred their horses forward and shouted, "Break through their formation and crush them." Lin Muyu slowly exerted her strength and pulled the treasured carving bow into a full moon shape. A faint battle energy turned into true dragon primary fire and seeped into the arrow. She aimed at the cavalry at the front. It was a cultivator at the 3rd level of the human realm who was around level 25. With a swoosh, the sharp whistling sound of the arrow broke the silence and turned into a stream of light. Pucci. This arrow was infused with the true dragon primary fire of the heaven realm. Naturally, it wasn't something that a mere human realm cultivator could block. That person let out a miserable groan and fell off his horse. There was a huge bloody hole in his chest. "My archery skills are still not bad," Lin Muyu said proudly. She took out the second arrow and aimed at another mercenary. With a swoosh sound she shot it out. However, the next moment, it hit a rock with a ding sound. The force was sufficient, but the accuracy was nearly 2 meters off. Long Yen couldn't help but laugh. He turned around to look at Lin Muyu and said, Lord Lin Yan's archery skills are really not bad. This idiot actually dared to mock her. Lin Muyu grinned and continued to shoot until the 20-plus arrows in her quiver were all shot out. She had killed 7 or 8 people, but the cavalry of the mercenary group had already clashed with the scattered warriors in the front row. Both sides were injured. Clang! The burning prairie sword was unsheathed. She spurred her horse forward, and the true dragon primary fire turned into sword chi. With a swoosh-swoosh sound, she slashed randomly in the crowd. No one could stop Lin Muyu's sharp sword. In the blink of an eye, she had killed 7 or 8 people. It seemed that killing people like this was more satisfying. However, she had to pay attention to 2 things at all times. She couldn't expose her battle chi or her martial soul. Thus, she kept a low profile when she killed people. On the other hand, Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Xan, who were fighting in the crowd with their martial souls whistling. It was as if they were slaughtering people. Buzz. A cold light came from behind her. It was an attack from an Earth Realm expert's spear. Lin Muyu dodged to the side. Immediately, an iron spear pierced through the air from under her armpit. The spear's light was awe-inspiring. The person holding the spear was a boorish man with a face full of scars. He wore a golden emblem on his chest and was around level 50. It was obvious that he was the leader of these 2,000 mercenaries. Lin Muyu moved her left arm and clamped the spear's shaft tightly. The burning prairie sword burst with the light of the true dragon primary fire. With a crack, the spear's shaft broke. Her left hand grabbed the leader's collar and forcefully pulled him off his horse. However, his body spun in the air and his battle boots kicked at a strange angle toward Lin Muyu's chest. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be stunned. These mercenaries were indeed fierce. She lowered her left arm slightly and blocked the mercenary leader's kick with a bang. Her right hand shone brightly as she activated 20% of her first element profound force. She concentrated it into the sword hilt and smashed it toward the back of the leader's head. Chaos of the first element. Bang! With a muffled groan, this Earth Realm level 3 expert was knocked unconscious. Lin Muyu let go and threw him on the grass. She ordered, tie him up. However, Long Yen did not give way. He stepped forward and chopped down with his axe. Blood splattered everywhere, and the head of the fainted leader was chopped off. Long Yen raised it high and shouted, "Trash of the Tianjing mercenary group, your leader has already been beheaded. Do you still want to die together? Put down your weapons and I, Long Yen, will spare your lives." The mercenaries were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with despair. The second leader died in battle? Lin Muyu was also stunned. So this guy was the second leader of the Tianjing mercenary group. No wonder he had the strength of level 50. However, his death was too humiliating. He was actually killed by the boorish man Long Yen while he was unconscious. Dang dang dang, blades and swords fell on the rubble. About 1,000 plus mercenaries gave up resisting. Facing an opponent that was far stronger than them, there was no point in resisting. Tie all of them up. Luo Yu raised his eyebrows and said, "Lord Silver Supreme Lu Xiang, lead 100 brothers to escort these captives up the mountain. Those who are willing to join the House of Chivalry can stay. Those who are unwilling can be dealt with by the great chess envoy." "Yes, Lord Chess Envoy." The battle came quickly and ended quickly. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 plus mercenaries were tied up like dumplings. Their faces were filled with anger as they were pushed and shoved in the direction of the House of Chivalry's imperial capital headquarters. Long Yen walked over with his blood-stained battle axe. He looked at Lin Muyu in surprise and said, "Lord Lin Yen, don't you only have the strength of the Earth Realm level 2? What? The second leader of the Tianjing mercenary group is at the Earth Realm level 3. He didn't even last 3 moves before you knocked him out." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Maybe he didn't rest well last night, so he's not in a good state." Long Yen couldn't help but laugh. "But I heard that the 3 prettiest girls that we kidnapped from Blue Lake Town were sent to your room. Logically, the one who didn't rest well should be you, Lord Lin Yen." Lin Muyu smiled awkwardly and touched her nose. "I'm a more restrained person, unlike you." Long Yen held his battle axe and laughed until his whole body trembled. "Lord Lin Yen is also an interesting person." Luo Yu said, "Let's go. Let's continue. Take advantage of this momentum and attack the mountain." Yes. In the afternoon they arrived at the North Mountain. From afar it was lush green, but it was indeed a place that was easy to defend and hard to attack. The north of the North Mountain was a steep cliff, and the east and west were also steep cliffs. Only the south was a mountain path, but there was a very steep part of the mountain halfway up. A simple stone fortress was built on top of it, heavily garrisoned. The 45-degree slope made it impossible for the cavalry to charge and attack. All Silver Elder Rangers, get ready. You will lead 200 people and attack the mountain in an hour. Luo Yu ordered loudly. Lin Muyu frowned and said, that's practically sending them to their deaths. Luo Yu smiled slightly, don't worry, 3 Jinzun Rangers will move with me. We will climb up from the east and attack from the flank. Once we open the stone door, the Tianjing mercenary group's lair will be broken. Lin Muyu's expression turned cold. This Luo Yu looked gentle and quiet, but her mind was very meticulous. She might not be a god of troops, but she knew how to use the opponent's weakness to attack. She was a talented general. At this time, the Silver Elder Rangers were already charging up with their shields in hand. Many of them activated their chi armors to block the damage. On the fortress, arrows rained down, landing on the shields and chi armors. The advantage of being a high-level practitioner was fully demonstrated at this time. They were actually unafraid of the arrows. Use the rolling stones. A roar came from the fortress. In the next moment, a huge stone rolled down. Several Silver Elder Rangers hurriedly raised their weapons and cut the stone into pieces. However, one of the Silver Elder Rangers was not strong enough. He did not manage to cut the stone into pieces. Instead, he was knocked to the ground by the stone. In the blink of an eye, he was smashed into a pile of meat paste. That was none other than Wang Tianfu. Lin Muyu sighed. Wang Tianfu stole her 1,100-year silver fox in exchange for the position of a Silver Elder Ranger. Unfortunately, his strength did not match. In the end, he still died. Let's go. It's our turn. Luo Yu patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. Several Jinzun Rangers immediately dismounted and carried their weapons towards the east. Chapter 151. The cliffs on the east side of the North Mountain were filled with pine trees. These pine trees were covered with sharp thorns that ordinary people would not be able to grasp with their bare hands. This also made the cliffs unclimbable, so the Tianjing mercenary group naturally would not send troops to guard this area. Swoosh swoosh, Lin Muyu opened her palm and her 5 fingers were enshrouded with a faint aura, directly smoothing out the sharp thorns on the pine trees. With a so sound, she leapt several meters up the mountain wall. She raised her hand and stabbed the prairie-burning sword into the rocks, borrowing the force to leap several meters up. She opened her hand and grabbed onto the roots of another pine tree, quickly smoothing out the thorns with her aura. In an instant, the faint scent of pine tree sap filled the air. He lowered his head and looked down. The cliffs were about 200 meters in total. Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Xian followed at a slightly slower speed. Among them, Fang Xian, who had the lowest cultivation, was the slowest. He was only at the 2nd level of the Earth Realm at level 41, but as a Jinzun Ranger he had no choice but to carry out this mission. He wore steel gloves, but the pine needles still pierced him until he was dripping with blood. After waiting for a while, Lin Muyu leapt up once again. Her entire body was as agile as an old ape, and after a few leaps she had already reached the mountainside. After waiting for another 5 minutes, Luo Yu, Long Yen, and Fang Xian finally reached the top of the mountain. The 4 of them hid in the underbrush. From afar, they could see that there were at least 500 Tianjing mercenary group soldiers moving about on the stone fort. Luo Yu muttered to herself and said, Lin Yen, Long Yen, the 2 of you charge up the fort and attract their attention. Fang Xian and I will quietly sneak in and open the stone door. Lin Muyu nodded, okay. With a dang sound, she pulled out the prairie fire sword and rushed forward with Long Yen. Lin Muyu silently used the falling star steps and ran as if she was flying. Long Yen could not keep up and hurriedly said, Sir Lin Yen, slow down. Lin Muyu didn't slow down. Instead, she sped up and leaped onto the walls of the stone fortress. She swung her sword at a few mercenaries who were moving boulders, killing them all amidst screams. Her actions quickly attracted the attention of many people. One of the mercenary leaders, who was a centurion, shouted, There's a ranger sneaking up the mountain. Damn it, kill him. A large group of people rushed over, but Lin Muyu secretly laughed. These mercenaries were too weak. She quickly turned around and the Life Star constellation circled around her left fist. The blood-colored cyclone rotated crazily, and she suddenly punched downwards. Bang! Cracks actually appeared on the thick tongue-shaped ground. The power of the one bright Life Star constellation surged out with a shockwave, causing a group of mercenaries to fall back. At this time, 2 figures quickly rushed into the city. It was Luo Yu and Fang Xian. I'll go and open the door. You block it. Luo Yu went straight for the stone door. Fang Xen quickly turned around and swung his sword, killing 5 people in a row. However, the mercenaries in the city also raised their bows and arrows fell like rain. At first, Fang Xen could still rely on his sword to block, but the arrows were too concentrated. Pu piu piu, sounds rang out as the arrows continuously pierced through his chest armor, arms and legs. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was dyed red with blood. With a muffled groan, Fang Xen knelt on the ground. A group of mercenaries surrounded him, and spears continuously pierced through his body. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Within a few seconds, Fang Xen, the Jinzun Ranger, was minced into minced meat. Even his limbs and face were no longer recognizable. All that was left was a pile of minced meat and broken armor. Lin Muyu couldn't bear to see this. With a wave of the sword in her hand, another wave of sword chi forced a group of mercenaries to retreat. Whoosh whoosh. Below, the archers started shooting randomly at Fang Xen. However, Lin Muyu wasn't Fang Xen. With a low shout, the gourd wall condensed around her body, and the black tortoise shell plus dragon scale wall blocked all the arrows. Long Yin, who was watching from afar, was dumbfounded. He was the first person in the House of Chivalry to see Lin Muyu's green gourd martial spirit. Moreover, Long Yin had seen a 10th grade green gourd martial spirit before. It was the kind of weak martial spirit that could be defeated in one hit. The gourd condensed by Lin Muyu was practically indestructible. Boom. The stone door suddenly collapsed. Luo Yu had succeeded. Kill your way in. Outside the stronghold, the rangers swarmed in. After entering, they killed anyone they saw. Each of their eyes were bloodshot and they didn't care about the captives. In the blink of an eye, the stone stronghold had fallen. Inside and outside there were corpses everywhere. The Tianjing mercenary group was defeated like a collapsing mountain. The only barrier on the mountainside was easily lost. The Tianjing mercenary group is finished. Long Yan's face was filled with excitement. In his hand was a head. It was the head of a mercenary centurion. He was probably going to take it to ask for a reward. Lin Muyu lightly jumped down. Her gaze landed on the pile of flesh on the ground. She said, "Lord Fang Xen is dead." The corner of Long Yan's mouth raised. It's good that he's dead. He doesn't have to endure so much pain and choices in the world. Lin Muyu glanced at him. Then why didn't you die? Long Yan laughed. I have a long life. I can't bear to give up so many beautiful things in the world. Ha! Luo Yu's expression was stern. Gather the troops and prepare to attack the headquarters of the Tianjing mercenary group. We must find the location of the flowing gold palace. Yes. A group of silver, bronze and iron rangers raised their swords and roared as they charged up the mountain. Their eyes were not filled with the desire to fight the strong and help the weak. Instead, they were filled with a crazed desire. Lin Muyu used the falling star steps and walked beside Luo Yu. She asked, "What kind of place is the flowing gold palace?" Luo Yu said indifferently, "It is said that the master of the Tianjing mercenary group, Jiang Fenglai, who has the title of Frenzied Blade, has been entrenched in the northern mountain for many years. He has plundered the citizens and the government offices of small cities. He has hoarded a large amount of gold, silver and jewels in the northern mountain. He has also built a storage place for these treasures. It is called the Flowing Gold Palace. Before I left, the great envoy specifically told me to bring the Flowing Gold Palace back to the headquarters after taking down the northern mountain." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "We are attacking the Tianjing mercenary group for the gold, right?" Luo Yu smiled helplessly. "What else?" Suddenly there was a sound of fighting in front of them. When they were close to the top of the mountain, they encountered another counterattack from the mercenary group. About 200 heavy armored mercenaries rode down from the mountain, each of them holding a heavy spear in their hands. Judging from their aura, they were almost all experts in the human realm. The heavy cavalry charged forward in a phalanx formation, piercing their spears into the bodies of the venerables and unaffiliated warriors who were dressed in plain clothes, killing them like skewers of candied haws. As the warhorses trampled on them, many unaffiliated warriors were trampled to death. Lin Muyu watched from the side. He was indifferent. He didn't plan to make a move. This was an unjust battle. He didn't have a side at all. However, Long Yan and Luo Yu still charged forward with their weapons. They roared and used their cultivation to suppress the heavy armored cavalry. A group of silver venerable and bronze venerable rangers also pounced forward. They used ingenious sword and saber techniques to destroy the heavy armored cavalry's defense. Swords pierced their throats and sabers slashed their necks. After losing a portion of their forces, The 200 heavy armored cavalry were all turned into corpses on the mountain peak. Further ahead, a military camp stood in front of them. There were 2 large words written on it, Tianjing Mercenary Group. Unfortunately, the Tianjing Mercenary Group's 5,000-plus troops had already been wiped out. How could they resist the attack of the House of Chivalry? After the archers on the watchtowers were shot dead, the entire camp was lost. A large number of rangers charged into the camp. Luo Yu carried her long sword and ran. She shouted, "Archers, follow me. We're looking for Jiang Fenglai. If he's alive, we want to see him. If he's dead, we want to see his corpse. The Golden Palace is in the north. Follow me." Long Yin laughed loudly. He led a dozen bronze venerable rangers and rushed over. Lin Muyu was at the back of the group, riding his horse. His face was gloomy. This battle was extremely boring to him. "Oh no, Lord Long Yin has been killed." Not long after, a shocking voice rang out. Long Yin had died in battle? Lin Muyu hurriedly got up and mounted her horse. She raised her burning prairie sword and shouted, "Where is Long Yin? Lead the way." Luo Yu raised her long sword and said hatefully, "It must be Jiang Fenglai. He's hiding in the Golden Palace. Damn it, why didn't I think of him?" A few minutes later, they arrived at the Golden Palace. In fact, the Golden Palace was just a cellar made of white walls and black tiles. The real treasures were all in the cellar. At this time, a group of rangers were surrounding a person and fighting. The person in the center was wearing black armor and holding 2 swords. He moved like the wind and the arcs of the blades were very beautiful. In the blink of an eye, several venerable realm rangers died under his blade. Lin Muyu looked from afar. Long Yan's corpse was lying in front of the Golden Palace's gate. Half of his shoulder had been chopped off. Long Yan's death did not make Lin Muyu happy or sad. Long Yan had fought for Jining coins and a woman. His death was not to be regretted. However, Long Yan, a level 45 Earth Realm Second Sky, was killed so quickly. This Jiang Fenglai was indeed not ordinary. "Come on, I'm going to kill all of you." Jiang Fenglai spun his sword and cut off the head of a bronze venerable ranger. His face was full of rage as he laughed loudly, "You despicable rangers, I will kill you all. After I kill you all, I will kill your families and rape your wives and daughters. I will make them wish they were dead. Come, let me kill you all." He had already gone crazy. His body was covered in blood and his sword was covered in battle energy. He was a Sky Realm First Sky powerhouse. Unfortunately, although he was strong, how many people could he kill? Moreover, everyone had a limited amount of battle energy. Every slash was a form of consumption. Jiang Fenglai killed nearly 50 rangers in the blink of an eye. However, his face was getting paler and paler. The battle energy on his sword was much weaker than before. Luo Yu did not dare to step forward because of the difference in strength. She only lowered her voice and said, "Master Lin Yin, if you want to make a contribution, this is a great opportunity." Lin Muyu understood. Since she was a spy, if she did not show some sincerity, how could Ji Yang trust her? Thinking of this, the battle energy in her body increased rapidly. She leaped from the horse and punched with her left fist. Celestial bodies of all living beings circled around her fist. Ha! Jiang Fenglai suddenly turned around and saw a handsome ranger's fist coming at him. He did not have time to dodge and hurriedly used the 2 swords in front of his chest to block. Peng! 3 luminaries calamity. The 2 swords quickly collapsed, but the fist still landed firmly on Jiang Fenglai's chest. Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, Lin Muyu's right hand rushed forward like lightning. The burning prairie sword pierced through Jiang Fenglai's heart. He was just a trophy. The greatest mercy to him was to grant him a clean death. Chapter 152. Ugh, ugh. Jiang Fenglai tightly held onto the blade of the burning prairie sword. Blood flowed down from his chest along the blade, but it quickly evaporated on the burning prairie sword. He raised his head and looked at Lin Muyu unwillingly. With a trembling voice, he said, "What kind of power is this, to be able to break my wind blade so easily?" Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She flipped the blade lightly, and Jiang Fenglai immediately lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Bang! Jiang Fenglai's body fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. His death meant that the Tianjing mercenary group had disappeared from the world. Jiang Fenglai is dead. Why don't you surrender now? Luo Yu rode her horse and galloped across the square, shouting loudly. Immediately, the mercenaries put down their weapons one by one, giving up their last resistance. However, the House of Chivalry's imperial capital headquarters could not be considered a complete victory. 2 golden venerable rangers had died in battle, and many silver and bronze venerable ones had also died. Creak! The gold-plated cellar door opened. Luo Yu held onto the door and looked at the group behind him. He smiled. Master Lin Yan, aren't you coming with me to see the treasures that Jiang Fenglai collected in his lifetime? Sure. Lin Muyu followed Luo Yu into the cellar. A lone warrior walked in front with a torch. The cellar was very deep and there was a moldy smell. However, when the lone warrior opened the second door with the key found on Jiang Fenglia's body, he saw a bright golden light. The cellar of the Golden Palace wasn't big. It was about 50 square meters, but it was filled with gold coins. Under the light of the torch, the gold coins shone with an alluring luster. Luo Yu was slightly taken aback. He walked forward and fished through the boxes filled with gold coins. Then gold coins fell out one by one. He muttered, each box has at least 1,000 gold hub coins. This Jiang Fenglai has been working hard for so many years. There are at least 100 boxes of gold hub coins here. Lin Muyu snickered. Actually, 100 boxes of Jining coins were only 100,000 Jining coins, and she had 380,000 Jining coins in her Cosmos sack. When it came to wealth, she was still the wealthier one. Sir Game Envoy, look over here. The loose knight was holding a gold-plated iron box. The lid of the box had already been opened, and inside the box was a pile of diamond coins, sparkling and resplendent. It's actually diamond coins. Luo Yu's heart skipped a beat. Lin Muyu frowned and said, there are at least 200 diamond coins. It seems that Jiang Fenglai has indeed plundered a lot of good things. Luo Yu nodded and ordered, seal these diamond coins and prepare to hand them over to the main altar. Wait. The corners of Lin Muyu's mouth curled up, revealing a sinister smile. Luo Yu, are you really planning to hand over these diamond coins to the headquarters? I'm afraid this will only make Ji Yang more aggressive, won't it? Luo Yu was stunned. Lin Yan, what do you mean? We'll stay. Lin Muyu looked at the unaffiliated warrior. She had already made up her mind to kill him. She definitely couldn't let him leak out the situation here. Luo Yu waved her hand and said, don't worry, he's my confidant. There won't be any problems. Sir Lin Yan, are we really going to keep these diamond coins for ourselves? Yes. Lin Muyu's gaze was resolute. If we give this money to Ji Yang, it will only make him more aggressive in his recruitment. The Hall of Chivalry will become stronger and stronger, and it will be a nightmare for the common people. I think you've seen how the Hall of Chivalry treats the common people. Luo Yu clenched her teeth and said, all right, then let's split these diamond coins in half. You and I will each take half. How about that? All right. Hence, they quickly divided the loot. There was a total of 228 diamond coins, and Lin Muyu and Luo Yu took half each. Luo Yu used a cloth bag to wrap the diamond coins tightly and kept them in his arms, while Lin Muyu threw the 114 diamond coins directly into his Cosmos sack and easily stuffed the bag into his arms. Luo Yu did not even know where he had hidden the money. Sir, there's a pile of weapons here. The unaffiliated warrior shouted again. Under the light of the torches, there was a pile of weapons at the back of the box filled with Jining coins. They glowed with different colors and some of the weapons had beast souls roaring. Lin Muyu was an expert. She walked up and picked up a sword. She weighed it in her hand and said, it's around rank 3 spirit grade, not bad. And that spear is rank 4 profound grade. It's a weapon that's been refined. It's the best weapon in this pile. Luo Yu smiled as if she had found a treasure. Even the worst of these weapons are superior grade weapons. Ah, that idiot Jiang Fenglai. He had such good weapons but he didn't use them. No wonder the Tianjin mercenary group was easily taken down by us. Lin Muyu said lightly, maybe he just saw these weapons as wealth, not weapons to kill. What should we do with these weapons? Hand them over to the headquarters. They're not that good anyway. Huh? Luo Yu was still hesitant. He didn't know that Lin Muyu was a blacksmith master. She didn't like the weapons here at all. On the contrary, he was reluctant to part with them. But there was nothing he could do. These weapons were not like diamond coins. It was too easy to find them. If Ji Yang found out that he kept them for himself, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not long after, a large group of rangers entered the cellar and moved all the Jining coins and weapons up. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu returned to the surface and watched quietly. Although many people had died, the people of the House of Chivalry still seemed to be overjoyed. It was as if the deaths of those who fought with them didn't matter at all. After dusk, 200 people were left to guard the North Mountain. The other 1,000 people escorted the captives and the spoils of war back to the headquarters. Torches flickered in the night sky. Even Jiang Fenglia's body was put on the carriage and dragged back. The leader of the Tianjin mercenary group had become a kind of spoils of war. He had dominated for a lifetime but he ended up like this. Dang, Dang! The sound of gongs and drums could be heard from the top of the mountain of the House of Chivalry's headquarters. Many people had already arrived at the foot of the mountain. When they saw the carts of Jinyin coins, almost everyone's eyes lit up. The carriages went up the mountain. The empty space outside the headquarters was filled with people. Suddenly the crowd moved and made a path. Ji Yang and Li Qinshuan walked over. Ji Yang laughed and said, "Luo Yu, Ambassador Yu Lin Yan, and Jin Zun really didn't let us down. It seems that you've brought back Jiang Fenglia's head, right?" "Yes." Luo Yu cupped his fists and said, "It was Lord Lin Yan who defeated Jiang Fenglai, but Lord Long Yan Jin Zun was killed by Jiang Fenglai. Lord Fang Xian Jin Zun also died in the chaotic battle. Other than that, we also lost 3 silver venerables, 11 bronze venerables, 34 iron venerables, 55 venerables, and more than 300 lone warriors. This battle was a heavy loss." "Long Yan and Fang Xian both died in battle?" Ji Yang showed a trace of displeasure. After a few seconds of silence he said, "The mercenaries on the North Mountain plundered everywhere and committed all kinds of crimes. We eliminated the Tianjin mercenary group for the sake of the people. Long Yan and Fang Xian, the 2 Jin Zun's deaths were not in vain. Tomorrow morning we will hold a grand funeral for them." "Yes, Ambassador Yu. Also, how many things did you bring back?" Ji Yang's eyes lit up. "What kind of treasures are hidden in the flowing gold palace?" Luo Yu pointed behind her and said, "We've already brought back all the treasures from the flowing gold palace. Ambassador Yu, please count them one by one." "Good, good." Ji Yang said good twice when he saw the carts full of Jinyin coins. When he saw the carts full of fine weapons, he laughed and said, "Our House of Chivalry was just worrying about not having fine weapons for the silver and bronze venerables. Now we have them, ha." Li Qinshuan cupped her fists and laughed. "Congratulations, Ambassador Yu. With Jiang Fenglia's death, your greatest worry has been removed. From now on, no one around the Dragon Forest will dare to make the House of Chivalry an enemy." Ji Yang was overjoyed. He looked at Lin Muyu and said, "Brother Lin Yin, you've helped the House of Chivalry eliminate Jiang Fenglai. This is a great merit. I will send a letter to the Lingnan headquarters to discuss your promotion to Ambassador Yu. Also, Brother Lin Yan's expenses will be raised to the level of Ambassador Yu. Luo Yu, Li Qinshuan, and the others cupped their fists and congratulated him. Lin Muyu smiled and responded to them one by one. After that, a group of rogue warriors set up a bonfire and slaughtered a dozen sheep to roast. Ji Yang ordered the carts of Jinyin coins to be pushed into the headquarter hall. As Ambassador Yu, Luo Yu and Lin Muyu were naturally called in as well. The commotion outside did not affect the peace inside the headquarter hall. Ji Yang held onto the armrest of his chair, his eyes gleaming. "I heard that recently the Capital Chamber of Commerce has been selling quite a few decent weapons. Moreover, Lord Lin Yan was recommended by Miss Jean Xiaotang to the House of Chivalry. Looks like it's time for us to buy another batch of weapons and war horses from the Capital Chamber of Commerce." Luo Yu mumbled, "Ambassador Yu wants to expand the army?" Ji Yang nodded. "That's right. Although the House of Chivalry is located in the dragon-seeking forest, far away from the Emperor and no one can control us, I've heard rumors that the Imperial Guard commander Feng Jixing has been eyeing the House of Chivalry for a long time. Once he leads 10,000 Imperial Guards to attack us, I'm afraid the House of Chivalry will disappear from the Imperial capital." As he spoke, Ji Yang slammed his fist on the table. "We need to replenish our rations, war horses and weapons as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't be able to fight against the Imperial Guards." Lin Muyu was stunned when she heard that. It was true. The House of Chivalry was indeed planning to become the Empire's enemy. However, with just this amount of military strength, it seemed to be far from enough. Feng Jixing's Imperial army could easily flatten this mountain with just 10,000 men. She did not think too much about it and returned to her room after the meeting. However, just as Lin Muyu returned to the courtyard, she heard the screams and curses of young girls coming from inside. The strong smell of alcohol filled her nose. No, something had happened. He quickly kicked open the door, only to see that the 2 scattered warriors guarding the door had already been knocked unconscious. The light in the room was dim, and a ranger with a golden glow on his shoulder was pressing Hong Yu down on the bed. However, he did not succeed. Hong Yu used all her strength to kick with her legs, causing the golden exalt ranger to be extremely angry. He raised his hand and slapped Hong Yu, shouting angrily, "If Ling Yan doesn't want you, then let me have you. What's wrong with that?" Chapter 153. Hong Yu was the most obedient of the 3 girls. Wherever Lin Muyu looked, an indescribable anger would rise to the heavens. She rushed over and shouted, "Shurhai, stop." This person was one of the 3 remaining Jinzun Rangers, Shurhai. Shurhai turned around and a look of shock flashed in his eyes. However, he quickly smiled and said, "Oh, Master Lin Yan is back?" Without saying a word, Lin Muyu had already unsheathed her burning prairie sword and slashed at Shurhai's neck in a sharp arc. If he did not dodge, this strike would have been enough to chop off his head. Whoosh! Shurhai suddenly lowered his head and dodged the sword. He flipped over and grabbed the spear leaning against the wall. His face was full of anger. "Lin Yan, do you really want to kill me? Don't forget, you are just a young boy who has just entered the mountain. I, Shurhai, have followed the great Yu chessman for decades. You dare to touch me?" Lin Muyu quickly walked forward and helped Hong Yu up from the bed. "Are you all right?" Hong Yu's face was already full of tears. "Thank goodness you came back early, Master. I'm sorry. I was careless." Lin Muyu turned around and looked at Shurhai. She gripped the burning prairie sword tightly. Her face was full of anger. Waves of milky white fighting energy flowed from her arm into the burning prairie sword. Shurhai was scared out of his wits. He quickly sobered up from his drunken stupor. He felt his back drenched in cold sweat. Heaven's state. "Lin Yan. Master Lin Yan, we can talk this out. These girls are just mates. They are worthless. Why do you have to ruin our friendship for these lowly girls?" Lin Muyu's gaze was unusually cold. She smiled faintly. "Who is your brother? The 3 of them are my people. You dare to touch my people. If I don't kill you, how can I call myself a man? Don't you dare." Shurhai raised his long spear and imbued his chi into it. Instantly, multiple wind blades flew towards him. The burning prairie sword touched the spear lightly, and it was instantly sent flying. The difference in their abilities was too great. Shurhai was only at the 2nd tier of Earth Realm at level 47, but Lin Muyu was already at Heaven Realm at level 60. The burning prairie sword took advantage of the situation and thrust forward, directly piercing through Shurhai's heart. Ah! His eyes were wide, his face pale. Lin Muyu slowly drew back her blood-covered sword and punched out with her left fist. With a bang, Shurhai flew out like a cannonball, smashing through the outer wall and landing beside the bonfire where the lamb was being roasted. "Ah, Lord Shurhai Jinzun?" The scattered warriors were dumbfounded. They saw a huge bloody hole in Shurhai's chest. His eyes were blank and he was already dead. For a moment, the scattered warriors were scared out of their wits. One of them screamed, "Murder! Murder! Shurhai Jinzun has been killed." The crowd quickly squeezed over and raised their torches. Soon Lin Muyu's house was completely surrounded. Today was indeed a big day for the House of Chivalry. In one day 3 Jinzun had died. Lin Muyu held the burning prairie sword and sat on the broken wall. She looked coldly at the group of Iron Zun, Bronze Zun, Venerable Zun, and scattered warriors who wanted to denounce her but did not dare to speak. What happened? Jiang came. His steps were light and his hands were behind his back. He looked at Shurhai's corpse on the ground with a pale face and said, "Who killed Shurhai?" "It was me, the great travel ambassador." Lin Muyu's voice was calm. "You?" Jiang frowned. "Why did Lord Lin Yan kill Shurhai?" "He touched my woman." Lin Muyu pointed at the room behind him. "You?" Jiang clenched his teeth and looked at Shurhai's body. After a few seconds, he suddenly smiled and said, "Brother Lin Yan is angry for a woman. You are indeed a hot-blooded young man. Well, Shurhai did not follow the rules and touched my brother's woman. He deserved to die. Someone throw Shurhai's body to the back of the mountain to feed the wolves." As he spoke, Jiang looked at Lin Muyu deeply and said, "Brother Lin Yan, if something like this happens again, you can tell me directly. Don't kill people so easily. Heroes don't kill heroes. This is our rule." "Yes, great travel ambassador." Lin Muyu cupped his hands and bowed respectfully. But in his heart he was laughing wildly. Heroes don't kill heroes? For a little money and women, how many people kill each other? When Jiang left with his men, Lin Muyu finally let out a sigh of relief. She slowly loosened her grip on the burning prairie sword. If Jiang really wanted to make trouble, then she would have to fight to the death. "Are you all right, Lord?" Hong Yu had already put on her clothes. Her face was full of tears as she said, "It's all Hong Yu's fault. I dragged you into this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have killed that Jinzun for me." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "It's not your fault. Shurhai was courting death. After what happened today, you can't stay on the mountain for long. I will immediately arrange for you to go down the mountain. Wait for me in the room and don't go out. Do you understand?" "Yes." Hong Yu nodded repeatedly. Even Xiaoqin and the other girl had tears on their faces. They were probably frightened by the scene in front of them. Actually, after entering the headquarters of the House of Chivalry, they had already mentally prepared themselves for their chastity to be stolen. But they didn't think that Lin Muyu would actually kill the famous Jin Zun for them. The bonfire seemed to roast the entire sky red. Although Jin Zun and Shihai were dead, it didn't affect the House of Chivalry's celebratory banquet. Lin Muyu put on a black cloak and quietly went to Luo Yu's residence. She knocked on the door and immediately Luo Yu's voice sounded from inside. "Who is it?" "I'm Lin Yan." "Oh, I'll be right there. Please wait a moment, my lord." Not long after, Luo Yu, who was wearing a long robe, opened the door. He didn't say much and directly invited Lin Muyu into the room. He didn't have any maids and was alone. Luo Yu took a wine pot and poured wine for Lin Muyu. He smiled and said, "Lord Lin Yan killed Shihai for a few maids. Zai, how satisfying. It's just that I, Luo Yu, can't cheer for you in front of everyone. Shihai was a pervert and had defiled many virgins. His death today is retribution." Lin Muyu laughed bitterly. "Don't cheer. I'm here to ask for help. I want to ask you how I can safely send the 3 girls in my room down the mountain. Where is the safest place to send them?" Luo Yu was startled. "Lord Lin Yan really wants to send these girls away?" "Yes." "Could it be?" Luo Yu was a little surprised. He stared at Lin Muyu and said, "Could it be that Lord doesn't like women?" Lin Muyu was startled and couldn't help but laugh. "Luo Yu, what are you saying? How can there be a man who doesn't like women? It's just that I already have someone in my heart, and that someone is 1,000 times better than these 3 girls. So I won't touch them." "So that's how it is." Luo Yu laughed lightly. It seems that Lord Lin Yan is also a passionate person. However, the matter of sending them down the mountain is a little tricky. First, we can't let the guards at the foot of the mountain see it. After all, the headquarters has its own rules. In order to protect the headquarters' secrets, the maids who go up the mountain must die of old age. There is absolutely no possibility of them going down the mountain. So when the carriages go down the mountain, they are strictly searched. "So it's like that?" Lin Muyu furrowed her brows and said, "Then can we get them to dress up as vagrant warriors and go down the mountain in their clothes?" "That's possible." Luo Yu looked out the window and said, "Tonight there is no moon and there are very few stars. The light is dim, so we should be able to fool them. Lord Lin Yan, do you need me to accompany you to escort them down the mountain?" "There's no need for that. Too many people will only attract attention. Just help me prepare 3 horses and 3 loose hero clothes." "That's easy. But I don't know where Lord wants to send them." "I don't have an idea yet. How about this?" Luo Yu muttered, "According to what I know, there is a washing house in the imperial capital. It is a place that specially washes the clothes of the rich and powerful. That place recruits female workers all year round. If these 3 girls have no relatives or friends, you can send them there." "Okay." In the dark of the night, Lin Muyu led the horses back to her room and called out Hong Yu and the other 2 girls. At this time, the 3 girls had already changed into the clothes of the scattered heroes. The white badges of the scattered heroes shone faintly in the night sky. Luckily, the 3 of them knew how to ride horses, so they followed Lin Muyu down the mountain and arrived at the mountain gate. At this time, 12 honorable level rangers who were responsible for guarding the mountain were drinking and bragging. One of them walked over and recognized Lin Muyu and immediately said respectfully, "So it's Lord Lin Yan. I heard that Lord will soon be promoted to a game envoy. This subordinate congratulates Lord in advance." "You're welcome," Lin Muyu said lightly. "May I know why Lord is coming down the mountain so late at night?" "I want to take advantage of the night to hunt some spiritual beasts that only appear at night." "Why, is there a problem?" Lin Muyu revealed a slightly angry expression. No. The honorable level ranger immediately cupped his fists and said, Then Lord Game Envoy, please go down the mountain and open the mountain gate." The thorny door slowly opened and Lin Muyu spurred her horse out. Behind her, Hong Yu, Xiaoqin and the other 2 girls followed closely. He could not help but let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he did not expose himself, or else the consequences would be unimaginable. After a night of traveling, they arrived at Lanyan City after nearly 6 hours. Seeing the appearance of Lanyan City from afar, Lin Muyu actually felt a little touched. She was finally back here again. Unfortunately, due to her mission, she could not visit Tang Xiaoxi and Chu Yao. She could only wait for the next time. "Here, these are your daily necessities." Lin Muyu took out a money pouch that contained about 100 Jingyan coins. As long as the 3 of them used it sparingly, it would be enough for them to live for a few decades. Lin Muyu did not dare to give too much money because Jingyin coins could also be used to kill people. "Thank you, Lord," Hongyu cried as she accepted the money pouch. She looked at Lin Muyu reluctantly and said, "Lord Lin Yen, if Lord is willing, Hongyu is willing to follow Lord and become a concubine, it's all right." Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. She groaned inwardly and waved her hand saying, "No, don't wrong yourself for anyone. With Hongyu's beauty, you can be anyone's legal wife. Alright, this is as far as I can help you. I'm leaving. I wish you all good luck in the future." "Yes, Lord." Lin Muyu spurred her horse and left, while the three girls knocked on the door of the laundry bureau. An elderly woman welcomed them in. Presumably there was nothing wrong. Chapter 154. The sun was already rising from the east. He had to return to the House of Chivalry's imperial capital as soon as possible. Otherwise he would not be able to explain all of this. Of course, Lin Muyu was confident that he would not be held responsible for sending the three maidservants away. This was because he could tell that Ji Yang really needed his strength. Otherwise, when he killed Shihai, Ji Yang would have given the order to get rid of him. He rushed back to the House of Chivalry's imperial capital without stopping. However, when he was halfway up the mountain he saw a group of people busy with something at the edge of the cliff. They seemed to be very noisy. Lin Muyu hurriedly urged his horse over and saw a shocking scene. There was a dead tree at the edge of the cliff, and there was a person hanging under it. There were 2 arrows stuck in the person's chest, and the blood seemed to have dried up. The clothes on his upper body had been stripped off, and there were 2 vultures perched on his shoulders. The vultures were lowering their heads and pecking at the flesh on the wound on his shoulder. Every peck made the person tremble in pain. Taking a closer look at his boots, there was a small E character embroidered on them. This pair of boots looked very familiar. It was Luo Yu's. Luo Yu. Lin Muyu rushed forward and flipped off his horse. He suddenly opened his hands and activated a wave of battle energy, sending the vultures flying far away. He leaped up and the green vines of the gourd martial spirit extended from the cliff and bound Luo Yu's body. The burning prairie sword was unsheathed and cut the iron chains. The gourd vines slowly retracted and Luo Yu was saved from the cliff just like that. Luo Yu was already extremely weak. She opened her eyes slightly and saw Lin Muyu's angry face in the dazzling sunlight. It was as if she had seen a glimmer of hope. She said, "Master Lin Yen, you're back. What happened?" Lin Muyu's eyes were cold as she looked at her surroundings and shouted, "What exactly happened? Who did this to Luo Yu? Tell me now." The group of unaffiliated warriors and venerable ones remained silent. Only a golden venerable warrior walked out with a broadsword in his arms and said, "Lord Lin Yen, Luo Yu the Yu emissary has hidden 114 diamond coins in the North Mountain. The great Yu emissary has already found out about it. Hence, Luo Yu has been stripped of his position as the Yu emissary and has been exiled by the House of Chivalry. The great Yu emissary has personally ordered Luo Yu to be hung at the edge of the cliff and let the eagles and griffins eat his body. Lord Lin Yen, I advise you to release him. This is punishment for his betrayal." This Jin Zun ranger was obviously one of Ji Yang's men. Otherwise he wouldn't be so hostile to Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu looked at the weak Luo Yu and couldn't help but feel a little heartache. Luo Yu was probably the only person in the House of Chivalry who still had a conscience. It was a pity that he ended up like this. Thinking about it carefully, this probably had something to do with him. If he had suggested taking the 228 diamond coins for himself, Luo Yu wouldn't have suffered such a disaster. "No," Qin Wenyan lightly shook his head. Lifting his hand, he removed the cloak behind him and wrapped it around Luo Yu's body. He said to the Golden Exalt Ranger, "No matter what, I will protect Luo Yu's life. This is something I must do as his friend." The Jin Zun Ranger snorted coldly, "Is that so? Master Lin Yin, you could have been promoted to Ranger Envoy in 3 days. Why would you give up your bright future for a traitor like Luo Yu?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. His Do Chi was enshrouding his body and the aura of a heaven realm expert filled the air. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he growled, "Luo Yu didn't betray anyone. Listen up, he didn't betray anyone." The group of golden venerable, silver venerable and bronze venerable wanderers were dumbfounded. None of them had expected Lin Muyu to have such an imposing manner. The way she looked at them made it seem as though she had never placed them in her eyes. Under Lin Muyu's imposing manner, these arrogant people actually felt as though they were ants. Perhaps, it wasn't an illusion. "Lin Yen," Luo Yu raised his hand with difficulty and grabbed onto Lin Muyu's wrist. "You have to be careful." What he meant was self-evident. Luo Yu was punished for embezzling diamond coins, and Lin Muyu had also embezzled 114 diamonds. If they were to talk about the crime, Lin Muyu's crime was no less than his. At this moment, Lin Muyu had already helped Luo Yu onto the horse. She flipped onto the horse and galloped up the mountain toward the headquarters. The horse was indeed a good horse. Kept snorting. It had already galloped for an entire night, but now it had to carry 2 people up the mountain with it. It was really tough on it. Lin Yen, Master Jinzun has returned. Someone in the square of the headquarters announced loudly. From afar, the Grand Travel Envoy's throne had already been moved to the outside of the headquarters. A group of high-level rangers stood around it. Jiang sat on the throne with his eyes narrowed. He didn't even look at Lin Muyu. Li Qinshuan sat at the side and looked at Lin Muyu and Luo Yu with a cold smile on her face. Whoosh! Lin Muyu helped Luo Yu get off the horse. She slowly walked forward and helped Luo Yu sit on the ground. She cupped her fists and said calmly, "Master Grand Travel Envoy, Lin Yen wants to save Luo Yu's life." "Is that so?" Jiang opened his eyes and looked at Lin Muyu with a cold smile. His gaze seemed to see through all of her thoughts, causing Lin Muyu's heart to tremble. No, Ji Yang's realm was higher than hers. She couldn't let his soul control her thoughts. Therefore she hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique to clear her mind. She cupped her fists and continued, "I am Luo Yu's best friend. Since Luo Yu has made a mistake, I should bear the consequences as well. Please, Grand Travel Envoy, retract your order and spare Luo Yu's life." "Spare Luo Yu's life?" Ji Yang abruptly slammed his palm on the table, turning it into dust in the blink of an eye. His face was full of anger as he stood up. His battle energy swirled around his body. This was a battle energy that was definitely stronger than Lin Muyu's. He was at the 2nd level of the Heaven Realm. Jiang didn't hide his anger at all. He said coldly, "Luo Yu embezzled 110,000 Jining coins. As a Grand Travel Envoy, how could he do such a despicable thing? Lin Yen, tell me, how can I let Luo Yu go?" Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. She raised her head and looked at Ji Yang. She didn't back down at all. "Grand Travel Envoy, please tell me. How can I let Luo Yu go? I will listen to you." "Very well." Ji Yang smiled faintly. "I'll spare Luo Yu's life, but your life, Lin Yan's, is mine. How about it?" "All right." Lin Muyu clenched her fists, which were trembling slightly. "Very well." Ji Yang laughed heartily. "I hereby announce that Lord Lin Yen is officially promoted to Grand Travel Envoy, becoming one of the 2 envoys of the main altar. The altar will open in the afternoon, and we will swear an oath of blood." "Swear an oath of blood?" Lin Muyu was taken aback. Luo Yu shook his head slowly. "Lin Yen, don't, it's fine." Lin Muyu nodded and said in a clear voice, "I will listen to Grand Travel Envoy's orders." "Very well." Lin Muyu helped Luo Yu to sit at the side. He took out a bottle of healing medicine and applied it to his wounds. Luo Yu's face was full of pain as he said, "Lin Yen, you really shouldn't have agreed to their oath of blood." "Why?" "Because." There was a hint of pain on Luo Yu's face as she said, "There are many heroes in Lingnan. Ji Yang was originally from Lingnan, and there's a sect in Lingnan called the Witchcraft Sect. The people there are experts in witchcraft, and Li Qinshuan is one of them. His blood has been implanted with a spell. Once you drink the wine that contains the poison, you'll be poisoned and you'll no longer have any freedom. I've been in the main altar for so many years, and I've always deliberately avoided swearing an oath of blood." "Why did you do that?" "Witchcraft?" Lin Muyu pondered for a moment, then said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." As she said that, Lin Muyu checked the medicine in the Chenkuan bag and heaved a sigh of relief after a few seconds. Fortunately, there were still 2 bottles of concentration powder. As long as he drank the concentration powder first, his body would be immune to all poisons, even if he was poisoned. Therefore, he secretly drank a bottle of concentration powder when no one was paying attention. He felt a little proud after drinking it. "You have witchcraft, and I have the ultimate refining skill of the god of medicine. Who's afraid of who?" After the lunch banquet, a high platform was set up outside the main altar. With Ji Yang as the leader, all the game envoys, Jin Zun and Silver Zun, drank blood together. A large jar was filled with fine wine. Then Ji Yang walked forward, bit his middle finger, and dripped a drop of blood into the jar. Li Qinshuan's face was gloomy, as if he wanted to laugh but was holding back. When he cut his index finger, a drop of dark blood dripped into the jar, but the group of Jin Zun and Silver Zun rangers did not seem to care. Perhaps their ranks were too low to understand the secret of Li Qinshuan's witchcraft. "Lord Lin Yen, it's your turn." Li Qinshuan reached out and made an inviting gesture. Lin Muyu immediately stepped forward and bit his middle finger, but it did not break. After refining his skin was extraordinarily hard. So, he reached out and wiped the edge of the burning prairie sword, and the blood immediately dripped into the jar. Then a few Jin Zun and Silver Zun dripped their blood into the jar one after another. Lin Muyu saw this and could only secretly sigh, praying that the concentration powder would be effective. Otherwise this group of people. Damn it, these Jin Zun and Silver Zun were all unrestrained, eating, drinking, whoring and gambling. Who knew if they had contracted hepatitis B, syphilis, gonorrhea, AIDS and so on? After drinking this wine, even if they were not poisoned by witchcraft, they would probably immediately be plagued with all kinds of diseases. Lord Lin Yin, please have a drink. A bearded venerable held a bowl of blood-stained wine in front of Lin Muyuman and said with a heroic expression. Lin Muyu looked up and found that Li Qianshuan and Ji Yang were looking at him. Forget it, this is fate. Tears fell from the corner of his eyes and Lin Muyu raised his hand and drank the wine. A fragrant and spicy feeling flowed into his throat. He suddenly smashed the porcelain bowl and said loudly, "Good wine." Ji Yang, Li Qianshuan, and the others also laughed and drank the poisoned wine. Ji Yang drank it too. He must have drunk the antidote of witchcraft beforehand, otherwise with his status he would not be willing to be controlled by Li Qianshuan. A few minutes later, there was a strange feeling in his stomach with a slight warmth. Lin Muyu knew that this was the effect of witchcraft. Could it be that the concentration powder was ineffective against this kind of witchcraft? Lin Muyu couldn't help but worry. Kid, you're poisoned. What should we do? The voice of the 7 luminaries demon emperor came from the depths of Yi. He knew Lin Muyu's body best, so he naturally noticed it at the first moment. Help me get rid of it? Lin Muyu said with a smile through his spiritual perception. The 7 luminaries demon emperor snorted coldly. Not long after there was a cool feeling in his body. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor devouring the witchcraft poison. Lin Muyu couldn't help but sigh. Damn it, sometimes it's quite useful to have a demon king living in my body. Chapter 155. After the blood oath, the group of golden venerable ones and silver venerable ones all smiled happily, as if in their hearts, it was a special honor to be able to drink the wine mixed with their own blood with Ji Yang, the great Yuchess messenger. This also showed that they did not know that Li Qianshuan was good at witchcraft. Grand Yuchess envoy. Lin Muyu said respectfully, since we have sworn our blood oath then, Luo Yu will be fine, right? The Grand Yuchess envoy promised me that he would spare Luo Yu's life. Ji Yang nodded with a smile. Yes, Luo Yu can live, but he has made a huge mistake, so the House of Chivalry can no longer tolerate him. He must leave the headquarters before sunset, or he will be killed. Thank you, Grand Yuchess envoy. Lin Yin, you are too polite. From now on you and I are brothers. You don't have to do this. Yes, okay. Lin Muyu returned and continued to bandage Luo Yu's wounds. She also found him a set of silver venerable ranger armor and brought him some food. Luo Yu on the other hand had a look of gratitude on his face. After swallowing a mouthful of meat soup, he lowered his voice and said, being with Ji Yang is like being with a tiger. Lin Yin, you have to be careful, I mistook you for someone else. I didn't expect my personal guard to betray me. You have to be careful, he reported me. There's no reason he wouldn't report you. Lin Muyu put one hand on his shoulder and smiled. She lowered her voice and said, don't worry, Luo Yu. I am still of some use to Lord Ji Yang. He won't touch me for the time being. Yes, that's good. Someone send Luo Yu to my place to rest. Lin Muyu ordered, and a few rogue warriors immediately responded. He then said in a low voice, Luo Yu, rest and recuperate for now. I will send you down the mountain before sunset. Luo Yu nodded. Okay. At this moment, Ji Yang carried a wine jar and said with a smile, there is a banquet in the main hall. Come Lin Yin, let's drink to our heart's content today. We will not leave until we are drunk. Yes. Most of the alcohol in the empire was rice wine, and the alcohol content was not high, so it was okay to drink a little more. Moreover, Lin Muyu's body had been tempered thousands of times, so his resistance to alcohol was already very strong. It would be a lie to say that he would not return until he was drunk. Even if he drank 7 or 8 jars of wine, he would not be drunk. There were only 3 seats in the main hall, and they were for Ji Yang, Li Qianshuan, and Lin Muyu, the 3 people who were above the level of Yu Yi. When Lin Muyu carried a wine jar into the hall, the light inside suddenly dimmed. The door behind her was closed. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be startled, and her spirit sense began to become alert. Ji Yang walked to the front of the host seating area and suddenly turned around. His body was enshrouded in battle energy as he smiled faintly and greeted, "Sir Lin Yen. Great wandering chess envoy, what's wrong? What do you think this is?" Ji Yang abruptly raised his hand, and the jar of wine in his hand shot out like a meteor. Buzz. The wine jar spun at a high speed, carrying with it a dense battle energy. Lin Muyu immediately understood that Ji Yang was testing her ability. She let out a low roar, and her battle energy surged into her arms as she also threw her wine jar out. Bang! The two jars of wine collided in the air and shattered into pieces. Ji Yang suddenly pierced through the curtain of wine that was formed by the surging wine. He raised his palm and a powerful battle energy attack went straight for Lin Muyu. She couldn't admit defeat at this moment, or else she would lose her value and Ji Yang would kill her immediately. Lin Muyu had been in this world for a long time, and she had long understood the principles of deception. She instantly condensed a powerful force in her right arm, and without using her martial soul, she directly used the 7 planets profound energies third star, 3 planets calamity. In her palm, celestial images of men, women, livestock, rivers, forests, and other celestial images quickly flashed past. The power of 3 planets calamity came from all living beings, and it was also a domineering power that was difficult to resist. When Lin Muyu raised her palm and blasted out the third star, a trace of shock flashed across Ji Yang's eyes. This was a power that he had never experienced before. Bang! A powerful palm blasted out and battle energy exploded. Lin Muyu was pushed back 3 steps, while Ji Yang quickly somersaulted and landed on the ground and took another 2 steps back. After all, Lin Muyu didn't use her martial soul, so the power of the third star was greatly reduced. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, who was in the depths of his spiritual perception, even sneered and said, "Kid, you actually didn't use your martial soul. Otherwise, how could my third star be defeated by such a lowly opponent?" Lin Muyu didn't care about the 7 luminaries demon emperor. This 7 luminaries demon emperor was an extremely talented and rare super expert. He only knew the way of cultivation but not the way of being a person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have failed so badly and been chased to the 17th level of purgatory by hundreds of divine realm and holy region experts. In terms of cultivation, Lin Muyu needed to learn from the 7 luminaries demon emperor, but in terms of being a person, the 7 luminaries demon emperor had to learn more from Lin Muyu. Ji Yang swayed on the spot. After that palm strike, his entire right arm went numb, and it lasted for a whole 3 seconds. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect Lin Muyu to be so strong. Naturally, Lin Muyu wasn't any better. The third star seemed to have sucked all his energy in an instant. If he attacked again, he probably wouldn't be able to use the third star again. Ji Yang waved his long sleeves and walked to his seat. He laughed and said, "Lin Yen, you embezzled 114 diamond coins. Do you think you can hide this from me?" "I can't." Lin Muyu told the truth. "Actually, I can guess that the great Yu chess envoy must know about this." Ji Yang raised his eyebrows and said, "Then why do you think I didn't kill you?" Lin Muyu smiled and cupped her fists. "Because I can do something for the great Yu chess envoy that Luo Yu can't. Isn't that right, sir?" "Ha ha ha." Ji Yang threw his head back and laughed. "Good. Ji Yang like smart people like you. Lin Yen, I don't know about your background yet. I've sent people to investigate it, but there hasn't been any detailed results. To me, you're still a very suspicious person. Do you know that?" "I know." Lin Muyu smiled and took out a diamond coin. She weighed it in her hand and a greedy look appeared on her face. She smiled and said, "But is that important? I, Lin Yen, was born in a poor family and suffered a lot from others. I endured a lot of hardships to reach the heaven realm. Now, I want to use my strength to exchange for Jining coins and status. The Grand Yi envoy is a smart man. Those 114 diamond coins are what I deserve for killing Jiang Fenglai. After all, Jiang Fenglai is not easy to deal with." Ji Yang couldn't help but continue to laugh. "Good. You're very sincere. Brother Lin Yen, the House of Chivalry is a place where you can achieve great things. As long as you follow me, I can guarantee you a lifetime of glory. You might even be made a marquis." Then Lin Yen thanks the great Yu chess envoy in advance. "You're welcome." Ji Yang thought for a while and suddenly looked up at Lin Muyu. He asked with a smile, "Brother Lin Yen, your attack just now was strange and powerful. What kind of martial arts was it? I've practiced martial arts all my life, but I've never seen such a strange move. What is its origin?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. She knew this old man would ask that. She raised her head and said with a smile, "Actually, I don't know the specific name, but I used to herd cattle for a living when I was young. Although I pursued martial arts, I didn't succeed. Later, when I was herding cattle, I fell into a tomb. The tomb seemed to be called King Yu's tomb. Later, I found a broken martial arts manual called 18 Dragons Subduing Palms in the tomb. But most of it was rotten and there were only 7 palms left. Later, I learned from it and made some progress. The palm I just used is called Proud Dragon Repents. Great Yu chess envoy, the power of this move is not bad, right? 18 dragons subduing palms? Ji Yang was stunned. He said, good name. This palm technique is powerful and indeed has the power to subdue dragons and tigers. Not bad. This palm technique. Do you have it with you? No. Lin Muyu shook her head and said, later after I learned 7 palms, I was so hungry that I couldn't stand it, so I used this martial arts manual to exchange for a soup dumpling. Soup dumpling? Ji Yang's face was full of shock. He said, Isn't this too absurd? Lin Muyu laughed. But that's the truth. When people are about to die from hunger, what can't they give up? That's true. Sit down and drink. Yes. Fortunately, Ji Yang didn't ask further. Otherwise, if Lin Muyu continued to make up stories, it would be unimaginable. She might even be able to make up things like the rippling waves and the 9 manual. Ji Yang would be considered a stupid pig if he believed it, right? Of course, Ji Yang wasn't stupid. He could tell that Lin Muyu didn't want to teach him the secret technique. This was human nature. Everyone liked to have a skill, but no one wanted someone else to learn their skill. The banquet only ended when it was almost dusk. Seeing that the sun was about to set, Lin Muyu's face turned red. She pretended to be drunk, stood up and shook her body. She smiled and said, Lord Ji Yang, I really can't drink anymore. I still have to send Luo Yu down the mountain. Otherwise Lord Ji Yang will cut off his head. Ji Yang laughed. Lord Lin Yan drank too much. Someone give Lord Lin Yan 500 Jinyin coins and send him back to his residence. Soon, a wandering warrior walked over with a heavy bag of money. He said respectfully, Lord, can I send you back? Okay. Thank you, Lord Ji Yang. Lin Muyu walked out of the hall unsteadily. She had other thoughts in her mind. Ji Yang valued her so much. It was almost equivalent to Guan Yunchang's standard of getting gold when on horseback, getting silver when off horseback. It seemed that the headquarters really needed her strength. But what exactly did they want to do? It seemed that it was better to ask Luo Yu. After all, he was one of them. After Lin Muyu left the hall, the lights in the hall flickered. Li Qinshuan opened her sleepy, drunk eyes. Suddenly there was a flash of light. She said, Big brother, this guy seems to be drunk, but he's not. I still can't see through him. What is his background? He can reach the heaven state without a martial soul. Such a genius is rare in the world. Why didn't he work for the empire? Why did he choose to join the Hall of Chivalry? Ji Yang's gaze was cold. He said flatly, it's precisely because he doesn't have a martial soul and is a heaven state cultivator. Such a talent is very rare. I've already sent people to investigate the entire Lanyan city. There is no one like him in the imperial capital. Moreover, no high-ranking generals from the Divine Temple, the Imperial Guards, and the Divine Might Battalion have disappeared for no reason. This Lin Yan must be a wandering mercenary who wants to show off his skills in the Hall of Chivalry. Yes, Big Brother is right. Qinshuan, when will your venom take effect? It will take about 7 days for the venom to grow. We just need to wait for a while. Okay. Chapter 156. As the sun set, night slowly descended on the mountain. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu rode side by side on their horses. The village in the distance shone with lights in the darkness, giving off an indescribable sense of peace and tranquility. Lin Muyu grabbed the reins and said with a smile, Lady Luo Yu, you ambushed Princess Tang Xiaoxi once, and attempted to ambush the Imperial Army's main camp to kill Her Highness Qin Yin. You must have participated in both of the House of Chivalry's operations, right? Luo Yu was slightly startled. Lady Lin Yan? Why are you suddenly asking about this? That's because I'm here for this matter. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. Lady Luo Yu, you don't believe that I'm really a nameless brat Lin Yan, right? Then you are? Luo Yu reined in her horse and asked. Lin Muyu smiled and opened her palm. The indigo-green gourd martial spirit emerged from her body and shone brightly in the night. This is the 10th grade green gourd martial spirit, but in my hands, it is not inferior to the 1st grade god-binding chains. Guess who I am? Luo Yu's eyes were filled with indescribable shock. Lin Muyu? You are Lin Muyu from the Holy Sanctum, right? Lin Muyu smiled and cupped her fists. Holy Sanctum's Gold Star Sparring Master, Imperial Guard Lin Muyu, greets Lady Luo Yu? Luo Yu could not help but laugh out loud. I knew it. How could a wandering mercenary have such charisma and boldness? Lady Lin Muyu. Aha, it really is you, you are a legend. I know. Lin Muyu said, there is not much time left, you better tell me, why did the House of Chivalry ambush Princess Tang Xiaoxi and her Highness Qinin? Don't they know the strength behind Tang Xiaoxi and Qinin? This, Luo Yu's expression darkened as she said, I'm afraid that I'll have to disappoint you, Lady Lin Muyu. Ji Yang has been tight-lipped about the purpose of these two missions. As a chess envoy, I'm only responsible for dispatching troops. As for why, I have no idea. Is that so? Lin Muyu was slightly disappointed and said, Fine, I'll investigate the truth myself. Right, Luo Yu, what plans do you have for the future? Do you have any plans for yourself? Not yet. Luo Yu sighed and said, I was born in a poor family. Even though I've been training hard, I've never been able to reach Heaven Realm. I can't return to the House of Chivalry, and the army in the Imperial capital probably won't be able to accommodate a former wandering gamer like me. Perhaps the only place I can go is to join a mercenary group. There are so many mercenary groups around the Imperial capital, so there has to be one that I can go to, right? Hey, is that so? Lin Muyu suddenly sneered. Luo Yu was startled. Sir, why are you laughing so coldly? Lin Muyu said, don't you know what the mercenaries in Lanyan City are like? Look at what the Tianjing mercenary group has done. How are they mercenaries? They're no different from bandits. Do you really want to go to that kind of place? Luo Yu was dejected. Then, so what? I'm penniless and alone. I don't even know what to eat for my next meal. A poor man's ambition is short and a thin horse's hair is long. Why don't you set up your own group? Lin Muyu said with a smile. Set up my own group? Luo Yu was startled. Lin Muyu nodded. Go to the Imperial capital and register a mercenary group. Become a real mercenary of the Imperial capital, not a wandering mercenary that kills and pillages. This, Luo Yu was speechless and said, the Empire's mercenary system is very strict. Just registering a mercenary group requires 10,000 Jinin coins. Normal people can't afford such a large sum of money. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people willing to become wandering mercenaries. It's okay, I have money. Lin Muyu patted her Qingquan bag and said with a smile, money is definitely not a problem. The problem is, Master Luo Yu, are you willing to follow me to build an army of our own? This, Luo Yu was startled again. Suddenly he flipped off his horse and knelt on one knee, cupping his fists and bowing, saying, this subordinate Luo Yu is willing to follow Master Lin Muyu. As long as you don't abandon me, Luo Yu will never leave you. Lin Muyu quickly dismounted and helped him up. She said with a smile, that's good. Let's go to the Imperial capital together and register our mercenary group at night. The Empire forbids ordinary generals from owning private armies, but if I use the identity of a mercenary group to build an army, there shouldn't be a problem. I'll give you enough Jinin coins and you'll be in charge of the recruitment. Yes, Master, Luo Yu definitely won't let you down. Luo Yu's eyes shone brightly. He had been living in a daze for the past 32 years, and only today did he see the direction of his life. Lin Muyu flipped onto her horse and said with a smile, the mercenary group that we will build will not rob the common people, nor will we accept any unjust employment such as revenge or robbery. We will only accept employment such as protection and escort. According to the military discipline of the Imperial Army, any mercenary who joins us must consider themselves as a soldier of the Empire and will not harm the common people. They must follow the 8 rules of humility, honor, sacrifice, valor, compassion, honesty, spirit, and justice. These 16 words will be the military spirit of the mercenary group that we are about to build. Luo Yu nodded excitedly, yes, Master. Lin Muyu was secretly thinking happily that the 8 rules of Western Knights were actually quite useful. Admittedly, although the Shattered Cauldron realm was far superior to the real world in terms of cultivation, it was still barbaric and primitive in terms of civilization and ideology. The 8 rules of Knights in the Shattered Cauldron realm were simply a kind of advanced realm of consciousness, and it would definitely cause a storm. Late at night they entered Lanyan City. Luo Yu changed into a new set of clothes, and Lin Muyu took off the emblem of the Hall of Chivalry's game envoy and headed to the Mercenary Union with Luo Yu. The Mercenary Union of the Imperial capital was not far from the Imperial Army camp. Compared to the bustling Imperial Army camp, it was a little desolate, but the 4 golden words of the Mercenary Union still shone in the night sky. Creak! Pushing open the door, Lin Muyu strode in. There was no one in the hall, and on the workbench an old man with white hair and beard was napping with his hand under his chin. Master. Lin Muyu knocked on the table and said, Master, wake up. The old man opened his eyes and looked at Lin Muyu and Luo Yu. He rubbed his eyes and said, "Are you here to join the mercenary group?" Currently, there are a total of 23 mercenary groups registered in the North Ridge province, and the number one in terms of strength and number of people is the North Ridge Mercenary Group with 10,000 people. To join the North Ridge Mercenary Group, you need to pay an introduction fee of 10 Jinyin coins. Pay up. Lin Muyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Master, we don't want to join a mercenary group. We want to apply to establish a mercenary group. Oh. The old man was shocked. He squinted his eyes and smiled. You want to establish a mercenary group? Yes. Kid, do you have 10,000 Jinyin coins? Yes. Lin Muyu quickly took out 10 diamond coins from her Cosmo sack and placed them on the table. Under the oil lamp, the diamond coins glowed with a moving color. The old man's expression immediately turned serious. He immediately shouted, "Guys, it's time to work. Someone is here to apply to establish a mercenary group. Hurry up, this is the 24th mercenary group we've accepted." The inner room was in chaos. Soon, 7 or 8 people wearing the mercenary union's uniform walked out. They lit up all the lamps and busied themselves filling in the forms. After Lin Muyu paid the 10 diamond coins, the old man took out a form and asked without raising his head, "Kid, you're the leader of the mercenary group, right? What's your name?" Lin Muyu. "Oh, it sounds familiar. What's the name of your mercenary group?" Longdan Army Camp. Longdan Army Camp? What a strange name. Why would a mercenary group use the name of an army camp? You can just write it as I say. Luo Yu smiled. He was quite satisfied with this name. Longdan Army Camp. From Lin Muyu he could see that she was full of courage. In this barbaric and primitive world, if she was full of courage, there would be no need to talk about humility, honor, sacrifice, bravery, compassion, honesty, spirit, and justice. Not long after, the establishment of the Longdan Army Camp mercenary group was completed. The old man gave them a gold badge of the leader and 2 silver badges of the vice leader. Lin Muyu gave the 2 silver badges to Luo Yu and then put the gold badge into her Qingkuan bag. The old man raised his head and smiled. A regular mercenary group with only 2 people. Interesting. When are you going to accept the missions? Only by raising the mercenary group's level can you accept some difficult missions. Luo Yu smiled. We will be back. Sir, let's go. Okay. The 2 of them left the mercenary union and stood under the moonlight. There was not a single person on Tongtian Street. The next step is to recruit people. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Luo Yu, do you know how to recruit people?" "Sir, don't worry." Luo Yu cupped her fists and smiled. "This subordinate will pay attention to the taverns in the capital and rope in some people with decent strength and character to join the Longdan Army Camp. Okay, stay away from those evil people. Our Longdan Army Camp doesn't need those kinds of scum." "Yes, sir." Lin Muyu took out another 100 diamond coins from her Qingkuan bag and carefully put them in another bag. She then took out another 100 gold coins and gave them to Luo Yu, saying, "These 100,000 gold coins are the basic funds of our Longdan Army Camp. After you recruit people, immediately equip them with weapons, armor, and horses. I hope that everyone we recruit can fight well. Do you understand?" Luo Yu nodded. "Don't worry, sir. Longdan Army Camp only recruits cultivators at the 2nd level of the Earth Realm and above." Okay. Looking up at the sky, Lin Muyu said, "It's getting late. I have to hurry back to the headquarters. How will I find you in the future?" Luo Yu thought for a moment and said, "I will arrange for someone to stay in the mercenary union. Sir, as long as you call out the name of the Longdan Army Camp, someone will naturally receive you." "Okay, then I'll be leaving. Sir, be careful on your way. Take care. Oh right, here is a bottle of Dream of the Extreme. Use it to cultivate when you have time. It might help you break through to the Heaven Realm. Okay, I'll be leaving." "Sir." Luo Yu held a bottle of Dream of the Extreme and stood in a daze on the moonlit Tongtian Street, watching as Lin Muyu left. Chapter 157. Under the starlight, Lin Muyu galloped out of Lanyan City. The Longdan Army Camp was destined to be a mercenary camp that required a lot of money. Whether it was equipment, war horses, or recruiting personnel, they were all expensive. This expenditure could only be sustained by the business cooperation with the Imperial Chamber of Commerce. However, Lin Muyu was full of confidence. After all, he had the unique refining cauldron in this world. No one could compare to him in forging weapons. Moreover, no matter how much money he spent, Lin Muyu firmly believed in the necessity of establishing the Longdan Army Camp. In this world, the strong preyed on the weak. Without troops and horses he didn't even have the right to speak. When he returned to the headquarters it was almost dawn. He didn't care about anything else. He would have a good sleep first. In the blink of an eye 5 days had passed. Everything was as usual. Ji Yang and Li Qinshuan were very polite to Lin Muyu. Almost every day they would send precious wine and delicacies. Lin Muyu also accepted this kind of life calmly. He knew very well that it wouldn't be long before Ji Yang would have to work for him. This was inevitable. At night, a silver senior ranger respectfully said outside the door, "Lord Yuyi Lin Yin, the Grand Yuyi asked me to invite you to a banquet." "Okay, I'll go right away." "Yes." When he came to the main hall of the headquarters, he found that there were many people gathered here tonight. Last time, a lot of Jinzun and Silver Senior people died, so Ji Yang was promoted a lot. As a result, all the members above the Silver Senior level were in the main hall for a banquet. The total number of people had exceeded 20. When Lin Muyu stepped into the main hall, a group of Jinzun and Silver Senior Rangers cupped their fists and respectfully said, "Lord Yuyi is here, Lin Yen." He cupped his fists and returned the greeting. He walked to the seat closest to Ji Yang and sat down. Ji Yang smiled and said, "Lin Yen, you're here. How's your cultivation going?" "No breakthrough yet." "Haha, be patient. There's no hurry." "Thank you for your concern, Grand Yuyi. Let's drink. We won't stop until we're drunk." "Yes." Everyone toasted one another, and Lin Muyu alone received multiple toasts. What was even more exaggerated was that when Li Qinshuan clapped her hands, more than 10 maidservants began to dance gracefully in the center of the main hall. These maidservants were selected from the maidservants for their looks, figures, and dancing skills. They were also the maidservants who served the great Yugo messenger Ji Yang. Although Ji Yang was quite old, he loved women. He had more than 30 maids by himself, which showed how extravagant and lascivious he was. Furthermore, the clothes these maids were wearing were extremely scantily clad. It could only be considered as a cover. After the dance, they dispersed and toasted the guests at each table. One of the maids in pink knelt beside Lin Muyu and poured a cup of wine for him. She smiled and said, "Sir Lin Yen, you must drink more today." As she spoke, she rubbed her full chest against Lin Muyu's arm. Lin Muyu frowned slightly. She didn't say anything. If she wanted to rub against Ji Yang, she would let her. She just needed to stabilize her spiritual sense with the spirit pulse spell. The maid giggled and snuggled into Lin Muyu's arms. This was relatively simple. Lin Muyu looked around and saw an even more ridiculous scene. Many Jinzun and Silver Venerable Rangers had already hugged their maids and were groping them. Their faces were flushed. They were drunk to accept Ji Yang's kindness. But Lin Muyu knew it. Would Ji Yang be so kind as to let them enjoy his concubines? Obviously not. Not far away, Li Qinshuan sat there and murmured. The heavy iron gate of the headquarters had been closed. As long as the gate was closed, this place would be isolated from the outside world. Oh no! Lin Muyu was alarmed. Was Li Qinshuan finally going to use witchcraft to control so many people in front of her? At this moment, Li Qinshuan opened her eyes and looked at a Jinzun ranger with a burning gaze. She laughed and said, "Lord Deng Taizhan Jinzun, you've drunk too much. Why don't you join us for a sword dance?" That Jinzun ranger immediately pushed away the maid beside him and walked to the center of the hall with his long sword. His eyes were filled with unconsciousness. He stood there swaying and said, "Yes, Messenger Li Qinshuan." Swoosh. Streams of vital qi appeared on the blade of the sword. He quickly danced with the sword and vital qi raged around him. His cultivation level was indeed good, and his swordsmanship was not bad. However, when Lin Muyu's spiritual sense swept over him, she couldn't sense any independent spiritual sense from him. It was as if he was just a shell, completely controlled by Li Qinshuan. Witchcraft. A smile appeared on Li Qinshuan's face. She said, "My lords, please enjoy yourselves today. There's no need to hold back. One night of pleasure is enough." Ah, this was like an order. Suddenly, the group of Jinzun Rangers and Silver Honorable Rangers became even more unscrupulous. Many of them had already put their hands into the indecent clothes of the maids in their arms and played with them wantonly. Their faces were full of bewilderment. They had all been controlled by Li Qinshuan's witchcraft, and none of them were spared. What was even more ridiculous was that a few Silver Honorable Rangers who had weaker self-control directly pressed the maids under the table and performed a live erotic show. For a moment, drunken laughter and the moans of the maids mixed together. Lin Muyu held her cheek with her hand and leaned against the table, pretending to be drunk. She worked hard to increase the power of the spirit pulse technique so that she could be in a clear and peaceful state. Although she didn't make a move now, it was much more dangerous than any other time. Once Li Qinshuan and Ji Yang found out that she was not under the witchcraft, would they kill her on the spot? To be honest, if Ji Yang was alone, Lin Muyu could still fight. But if Ji Yang and Li Qinshuan joined forces, Lin Muyu had no chance of walking out of here alive. Moreover, there was a large group of Jinzun Rangers and Silver Honorable Rangers who were under the control of witchcraft. He had even less chance. Is Lord Lin Yan Game Ambassador drunk? The maidservant twisted her body and wrapped around Lin Muyu's body like a beautiful snake. She leaned forward and her warm breath filled Lin Muyu's ears and neck. Ji Yang squinted his eyes and looked in Lin Muyu's direction. He said, "Brother Lin Yan, are you drunk? You haven't drunk enough today. That's outrageous." Lin Muyu smiled and raised his glass. He said, "Lord Ji Yang, cheers, all right?" Ji Yang gulped down another mouthful of wine. A spicy taste rushed into her throat. Lin Muyu suddenly felt a little dizzy. She immediately swayed and knew that this was not good. This wine seemed to have been poisoned by Li Qinshuan as well. She was really unscrupulous. The voice of the 7 luminaries demon emperor came from the depths of her spiritual sense. "Lin Muyu, you idiot. You've been poisoned again." Lin Muyu secretly regretted. She suddenly raised her chi of battle and quickly burned the wine in her body. Her blood seemed to be boiling, and the witchcraft that was poisoned just now quickly dissipated and died. How could the bloodline of a true dragon allow witchcraft to wreak havoc? The 7 luminaries demon emperor wanted to help this kid regain his body, but did not expect him to resolve the crisis on his own. He was speechless. "I can't take it anymore. I've drunk too much." Lin Muyu suddenly collapsed on the table, closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. She had to pretend to be dead, or she would definitely not be able to escape today's disaster. "Lord Lin Yan, are you drunk?" Li Qinshuan walked down from his seat and came to Lin Muyu's side. He smiled and said, "Really drunk?" As he spoke, he gently pressed his palm on Lin Muyu's shoulder. The next moment, an all-pervasive spiritual power crazily rushed into Lin Muyu's Yi. It was the controller of spiritual power again. Lin Muyu leaned on the table and secretly felt a chill in her heart. She hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique and drove all her spiritual sense to the deepest part of Yi. What was left on the surface of Yi was a kind of unconscious nothingness. This was what Li Qinshuan could see. His spiritual power could not penetrate into Lin Muyu's heart at all. All he could see was a blank, endless nothingness. On the contrary, after Lin Muyu withdrew all her spiritual sense, a stream of spiritual sense floated out of her body and went straight to the 2 people she wanted to know the most. One was Li Qinshuan and the other was Ji Yang. In her muddle-headed state, she seemed to hear a voice saying, "Hey, how can this be? This guy seems to be under a spell, but he doesn't seem to be under it. What's going on?" Lin Muyu was slightly stunned. His voice was, could it be the voice in the deepest part of Li Qinshuan's heart? Was it mind reading? She did not expect that when all her spiritual sense was withdrawn, there would be such an effect. Was it similar to mind reading? However, when Lin Muyu tried to read Ji Yang's heart, she could not hear anything. Patiently, he continued to stay in this muddle-headed and illusory state. Anyway, he pretended to be drunk. A real drunkard wouldn't care about voodoo spells and would only focus on sleeping. Ji Yang and Li Qinshuan couldn't do anything to him because they didn't know if he was poisoned or not. Naturally, they couldn't do anything to him. After waiting for a long time, she finally heard a few intermittent voices. "Dear Song Court, Pale Crane. Dear Song Court, Pale Crane. Dear Song Court, Pale Crane." The strength of Ji Yang's soul was obviously much stronger than Li Qinshuan's, so he could only read so much. About 2 hours later, Lin Muyu was already snoring loudly. Li Qinshuan resentfully turned back to Ji Yang and shook her head. She said in a low voice, "I don't know what's going on either. Maybe Lin Yan's cultivation is too high, so I can't control the spell in his body." "The spell lost its effect?" Ji Yang asked. Li Qinshuan continued to shake her head. "I don't know, forget it." Ji Yang lowered his voice and sighed. "We're going to take action tomorrow. Don't let witchcraft ruin the plan. Lin Yan is just a greedy person. We'll just let him carry out the mission tomorrow. As for the rest, we'll settle it ourselves." "Yes, big brother." That night Lin Muyu had a hard time. She did not sleep at all, and it was even more difficult for her to pretend to be asleep. It was not until the wee hours of the morning that a group of rogue warriors finally entered the hall and sent the group of Jinzun and Silver Venerable warriors back to their rooms to rest. She was also carried back by 2 rogue warriors so that she could sleep quietly for a while. Chapter 158. Knock, knock, knock. After some time, someone knocked on the door and said loudly, "Lord Lin Yin, there will be a special mission in the afternoon. Please get up and get ready." Lin Muyu opened her eyes and looked out of the window. It was almost noon, so she got up and washed up in a hurry. A few unaffiliated warriors had already prepared an armor and a warhorse for him. After becoming a UE envoy, the standard seemed to have increased as well. He obtained a set of red armor, which was extremely heavy when he wore it. Although the craftsmanship was exquisite, Lin Muyu still missed the gold star armor from the sanctum. After all, it was embedded with buoyancy gems, and it was extremely light to wear. After lunch, there was a sound of cannon in the village. The Grand UE envoy Ji Yang, UE envoy Li Qinshuan, and other important figures had appeared one by one. Almost all the rangers on the mountain had come out. There were more than 2,000 people and no one was left out. Their flags fluttered in the wind, covering the sky. It was a very shocking scene. Riding to Ji Yang's side, Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said, "Lord, what mission are we going to carry out? Why are there so many people?" Ji Yang stroked his beard and said with a smile, "Lord Lin Yin, you don't have to ask. You will know when the time comes. As long as we complete this mission, I promise that Lord Lin Yin will at least get a captaincy." Captaincy? Lin Muyu frowned and didn't continue to ask. There were less than 10,000 people in the House of Chivalry. How could she become a captaincy? The group went down the mountain. Instead of taking the official road, they took a detour through the dragon forest. Ji Yang and the others seemed to be very familiar with the mountain roads. After traveling in the mountain for the whole afternoon, Lin Muyu didn't know where they were. However, he was vaguely uneasy. The two words that Ji Yang had said yesterday kept circling in his mind. Deer Song Garden and White Crane. What did they mean? Had the White Crane returned to the capital? As for Deer Cry Garden, what kind of place was that? At this time it was almost nightfall. Lin Muyu rode his horse to the back of the formation, responsible for bringing up the rear. There were a few silver exalted rangers following beside him, as if they were protecting him, but also as if they were monitoring him. Papa, in the night sky, a white figure descended rapidly, accompanied by the sound of flapping wings. Lin Muyu raised her head, and the white bird had already landed on her shoulder. It was Chu Yao's messenger bird, Little White. Lin Muyu looked left and right. A few silver elder rangers were chatting and did not seem to notice his movements. So he pulled down the letter tube on the leg of the messenger bird and took out a roll of paper. A line of Chu Yao's words was clearly written on it. "Where did you go? I haven't been in the imperial capital for a long time. Today, brother went with the emperor to Deer Garden Palace to hunt. I miss you so much. When you see the letter, reply." It was Chu Yao. Lin Muyu's heart warmed, but when her gaze fell on the words Deer Garden Palace, her heart suddenly trembled. Deer Garden, was there a palace there? If that was the case, then Ji Yang's target was Deer Garden Palace. To assassinate the emperor. In an instant, Lin Muyu's heart was chilled. She finally understood why Ji Yang was so wary, and what he meant by the White Crane. It must be that the White Crane would also participate in the assassination. Not good. If Chu Chu was not by the emperor's side, she was afraid that she would really be in danger. More importantly, Qin Yin would also go to Deer Garden Palace to hunt with Qin Jin. Then even she would be in danger. Even if Qin Lei, Feng Jixing, and the others accompanied her to protect her, they were in the light while the House of Chivalry was in the dark. If they were attacked, perhaps Qin Yin could rely on her own strength to protect herself, but it was hard to say for Qin Jin. At the thought of this, Lin Muyu's heart was burning. She could not become an accomplice. She had to leave this place, but how could she leave? After thinking about it, she decided to go to the bathroom. This was a tried and tested trick. "I'm going to pee for a while, I'll be right back." He suddenly turned his horse around and said. A silver venerable level wanderer said, "Then shall I go with you, messenger you?" "No need, I can't pee with someone watching me." "Then alright, I'll wait here for Lord Messenger you." "No need, just follow the team. There are spiritual beasts roaming around here, no one can save you if they eat you." "Alright." He rode into the depths of the forest and immediately pulled out the burning prairie sword. With the ostentatious sword light, he wrote a reply to Chu Yao. "Sister Chu Yao, the House of Chivalry will assassinate His Majesty tonight in Deer Garden. Please think of a way to inform Qin Lei and Feng Jixing immediately. You stay." Whoosh! Little White spread its wings and flew straight in the direction of Lanyan City, just in time to point out the direction for Lin Muyu. He immediately urged his horse to gallop in that direction. The warhorse kept snorting. The continuous galloping for a few days had exhausted a lot of its physical strength, but it was urgent now, so Lin Muyu kept urging the horse to move forward. 4 hours later, the warhorse finally fell to the ground with a whine, foaming at the mouth and unable to run anymore. Lin Muyu gritted his teeth and carried the burning prairie sword to activate the falling star steps. He galloped forward as if he was stepping on the stars. His speed was not much slower than the warhorse, but the consumption of his battle energy increased rapidly. Half an hour later, the outline of Lanyan City appeared in front of him after climbing over a hill. However, Lin Muyu did not have time to enter the imperial capital to ask for reinforcements. He went straight to the Eagle Nest camp, where he still had 110 elite soldiers at his disposal. He could not care so much, he just had to send as many people as he could. On the Eagle Nest mountain, the lights flickered, and many soldiers were gathering and drinking in the camp. When Lin Muyu appeared in a chess envoy's armor, a group of royal guards raised their longbows and shouted in a low voice, "Who are you? How dare you trespass on the Eagle Nest mountain?" Lin Muyu slowly lifted the cloak that covered his head, revealing a determined face and said, "I am Lin Muyu of the royal guards, let me in." "So it's Lord Lin Muyu, please wait a moment." The gate slowly opened, and when Lin Muyu stepped into the camp, Wei Chou and a group of royal guards had already come forward to welcome him, and said with a smile, "Lord, you're finally back." Lin Muyu was anxious and said, "Prepare a horse for me and a set of royal guards' armor for me." Wei Chou, "Gather our troops and prepare to set off immediately." "Yes, Lord." Wei Chou was very loyal and did not even ask any questions and immediately went to carry out the task. At this moment, the commander of the Eagle Nest camp, Meng Fong, walked out of the central tent, and said in a low voice, "Lin Muyu, without orders from your superiors, you are not allowed to mobilize the troops of the Eagle Nest camp." Lin Muyu's expression turned cold and she said, "Right now, a large group of people are heading to Deer Nest Garden to assassinate the emperor. If we set off now we might still be able to make it in time." Meng Fong was stunned. What do you mean?" Lin Muyu raised her fist and said, "Those who are willing to come with me to rescue the emperor, come with me." Among the group of centurions only Xiahou Sang held a long sword and said with a smile, "Lord Lin Muyu, I Xiahou Sang will go with you." "All right." After changing into the white robes of the royal guards, there seemed to be about 300 people gathered. Lin Muyu mounted the horse and said in a low voice, "Wei Chou, lead the way to Deer Nest Garden." "Yes, Lord." The sound of hooves broke the silence of the night. More than 300 royal guards quickly descended the mountain, and headed straight for Deer Nest Garden in the north of the city. Deer Nest Garden, a temporary imperial residence located at the edge of the dragon-seeking forest. It was also the usual hunting ground of the Emperor Qin Jin. Today he had once again arrived at Deer Nest Garden with Qin Yin, accompanied by more than 10 officials. The main hall of the temporary imperial residence was brightly lit, and the emperor and his officials were drinking merrily, as though they would stay up all night long. Outside the main hall, Feng Jixing was dressed in a white robe, and his brows were tightly furrowed. His hand was on the handle of his wind cutter and he said to Luo Lai, "How's the defense going at night?" Luo Lai cupped his fists and said, "Don't worry, Lord. We've brought 5,000 imperial guards, and 4,000 of them are stationed in the 4 directions of north, south, east and west. There are 12 camps and not even a bird will be able to fly in. Moreover, Commander Qin Lei is leading 50 dragon guards to protect His Majesty and Her Highness. Don't worry, nothing will happen." That's good." Feng Jixing felt a little uneasy and said, "I keep feeling that something is not right. Is Lord Chu Chu not back yet?" Luo Lai smiled slightly. "The herbs at the bottom of the Black Mountain have completely mesmerized Lord Chu Chu. I feel that if we don't harvest all the herbs there, I'm afraid that Lord Chu Chu will not return. Moreover, Deer Nest Garden is so heavily guarded that it doesn't matter if Lord Chu Chu returns or not." Feng Jixing muttered, "That's good too. Let our brothers keep their spirits up. We cannot slack off at all tonight." "Yes, Lord." In the cold night of the dragon-seeking forest, a thunderous sound came from underground. With a bang, a huge and ferocious snake head rushed out of the ground. The scales on the snake's head were like blades, spiraling like knives. This was a type of earth-drilling dragon snake. There were 12 gold patterns and 3 silver patterns on its head. It was actually an earth-drilling dragon snake with a lifespan of 12,300 years. A few scales on its head had already peeled off, revealing the golden scales underneath. This dragon snake was undergoing a dragon transformation. Perhaps in another few hundred years, it would transform into a real dragon. At the neck of the dragon snake, an entire scale had flipped open, and a piece protruded out. It was an old expert who had pierced his feet into the flesh of the dragon snake. His hair and beard were all white, and his face had a hint of arrogance. He lightly tapped the neck of the dragon snake with his long staff and said, "Little treasure, continue passing through. Whether we can kill that incompetent and incapable ruler this time depends on you." Hiss hiss. The dragon snake raised its head and let out a long hiss, with some anger and unwillingness. Under the moonlight, the old man's long hair fluttered in the wind. It was the pale crane. Whoosh. The dragon snake raised its head and once again burrowed into the ground. The scales around its skull spun like blades, turning the rocks and soil underground into dust. The pale crane lowered its head. It was as if its entire body was attached to the scales on the dragon snake's body, and it was not affected by the rocks. It held its breath and followed the dragon snake underground. At night, the white robes of the White Robe Imperial Forest fluttered in the wind. Qinlei held a gourd in his hand. He opened it and drank a mouthful of wine. After warming his body, he said, "Strengthen the defenses." Beside him, Chu Huaying held his long sword and suddenly pricked up his ears in alarm. He said, "Commander, did you hear something?" "What sound?" Qinlei was stunned. "It seems like a sound coming from underground." Chu Huaying's gaze turned cold. He confirmed the source of the sound and said, "It is indeed coming from underground. Something is coming, be careful." Chapter 159. Suddenly the sound stopped as if it had never been heard. Chu Huayin opened his eyes wide and stayed alert for nearly 5 minutes, but there was nothing. Qinlei could not help but laugh. He patted Chu Huayin's shoulder and said, "Don't be so nervous, there was no sound at all." Chu Huayin frowned slightly. "Commander, my spiritual sense will never be wrong." Then, increase the vigilance. Yes. The cold moonlight sprinkled on the ground like frost. In the open space to the east of Deer Garden, bonfires swayed in the cold wind. This was the camp of the Imperial Guards, and there were about 1,000 Imperial Guards stationed there. The sound of horse hooves passed by, and 100 patrolling cavalry whizzed past the perimeter of the camp. Clatter. Amidst the clatter of the iron chains on his armor, Bailey stood up. The golden insignia on his collar was the military rank of the Imperial Chiliarch. He frowned as he looked into the distance and said, "Why do I feel that the tranquility tonight is a little unusual? There's not even a single spirit beast that came to cause trouble. This is too unusual." On the side, a centurion who was roasting wild rabbit meat grinned and said, "Sir, you must be too worried about the Emperor's safety this time. Don't worry, the Imperial Guards and Imperial Guards have mobilized more than 6,000 people, and they are all around the Imperial City. Which bastard would have the guts to make a move on us?" Bailey nodded. "Yes, although you are right, tell our brothers to keep their spirits up. Don't sleep too soundly tonight. Be ready for battle at any time." "Yes." At this time, on the mountain range to the east of the camp, the light of torches appeared, but quickly extinguished. It was the people of the House of Chivalry. More than 2,000 people appeared together on a hill that was about 100 meters high, using the night and the forest to hide their figures. Jiang pulled on the reins and urged the horse forward slowly. He said in a low voice, "We are about to enter the Forbidden Army's defensive perimeter. All Silver Exalted Rangers, get ready to move out. We will eliminate their 100-strong cavalry in half an hour. We cannot let them make any noise before we enter the Forbidden Army's camp. By the way, where is Lin Yan?" One of the supremacies cupped his fists and said, "Great Envoy Yue, Lin Yan said that he needed to pee, so he went to relieve himself. However, he didn't follow us. We haven't heard from him for nearly 2 hours. He disappeared?" Ji Yang's expression turned cold as he said, "Bastard, you actually disappeared in such a situation." Li Qianxuan sneered. "I knew that Lin Yan isn't on our side. He'll only be a scourge if we keep him in the headquarters. Big brother, why don't we call off today's operation?" "No." Ji Yang suddenly waved his hand and said calmly, "We can't let go of such a rare opportunity. There won't be a next time. Besides, the Ashen Crane is here too. With his treasure, even if the Fire Cauldron Choo Choo is in the camp, we will still force our way into Deer Cry Garden and bring out the head of the incapable ruler. Everyone be alert and prepare to attack." "Yes." In the darkness of the night, the Forbidden Army's patrols were divided into 4 teams. Each team had 100 men. At this moment, 100 heavy cavalry entered the forest to patrol. They held torches in their hands and looked around cautiously. However, perhaps because the sound of the horses' hooves was too loud, they actually didn't notice the strange movements in the forest. Whoosh! An ice-cold arrow shot out from the darkness, piercing through the neck of a centurion with a poochie sound. Immediately afterwards, arrows rained down on him. Careful, there's an ambush. Sound the horn immediately. Someone shouted. An Imperial Army sergeant quickly took off the horn on his waist. Just as he brought it to his mouth, he saw a black shadow coming through the air, with a milky white combat aura. Bam! With a muffled sound, the Imperial Army sergeant's head was smashed. Then, martial artists with extraordinary cultivation rushed out from the forest. They were Jin Zun, Silver Elder, and the others from the House of Chivalry. Most of the Imperial Army soldiers were ordinary people who hadn't even entered the human realm. How could they be a match for them? In the blink of an eye they were all killed. Ji Yang's palms were already stained with blood. With a vicious look on his face, he looked into the distance and said, "Why hasn't the signal been sent out yet? What is the Ashen Crane doing?" Li Qinshuan said softly, "Wait a little longer. There will be." In the inner courtyard of Deer Cry Garden, Qin Lei, Chu Huayin, and the others were still guarding the outside of the main hall with their hands on the hilt of their swords. Suddenly, the rumbling sound from underground was heard again. Chu Huayin immediately pricked up his ears and shouted, "It's coming. Be careful underground." The group of dragon guards became solemn. Bam! With a loud sound, mud and rocks burst out from the ground. A ferocious head appeared in the inner courtyard. The moment the burrowing dragon snake emerged from the ground, it bit a dragon guard in its mouth. The dragon guard's face turned pale. He hurriedly circulated his vital chi to defend himself. He shouted in a low voice, and a blood-red scythe martial soul condensed in front of his chest. He shouted, "Break!" Buzz. The martial soul hummed, and the scythe spun rapidly to cut the burrowing dragon snake's huge mouth. However, it couldn't cut through the scales that were as tough as iron. The burrowing dragon snake growled and closed its jaws. With a poochie sound, the poor dragon guard was bitten into two. Fresh blood flowed everywhere. At the same time, the ashen crane on the burrowing dragon snake's back leaped up. The pressure of its domain quickly descended upon them. It shouted, "Do you think you can stop me?" The metal staff descended from the sky and landed on Chu Huayin's head. Chu Huayin suddenly raised his head, but he couldn't move under the pressure of the sanctuary. He couldn't help but grit his teeth. Starlight flashed around his body, and his battle energy exploded. Golden cicada shedding. Bam! The ashen crane's staff landed, but it only hit Chu Huayin's afterimage. Instead he felt a chill behind him. With a chi sound, Chu Huayin had appeared behind him. The star-plucking finger landed heavily on the ashen crane's battle energy armor. Although it couldn't penetrate it, it made the ashen crane's aura a little chaotic. Qin Lei and the others broke free from the suppression of the domain pressure. The dragon guards quickly drew their swords and surrounded the ashen crane and the burrowing dragon snake. Roar, roar, roar. The burrowing dragon snake's body was as hard as iron. Furthermore, it was a 1,300-year-old burrowing dragon snake. As it roared, its body swept across the area, turning the buildings into dust. It whipped its tail and two dragon guards were whipped away as if they were flies. They were seriously injured in an instant. The dragon guard's counterattack was very weak. The arrows bounced off the burrowing dragon snake's scales, but they didn't cause any substantial damage. Violent lightning formation. Countless lightning bolts rained down around Qin Lei, and at the same time, 6 god-binding chains wrapped around his body. He raised the thunder splitter blade and dashed towards Tsang Bai He. With a low roar he slashed out 3 times. The reason why the god-binding chains was known as the number 1 martial soul was because of its powerful attack power. These 3 slashes all landed on Tsang Bai He's iron staff, and unexpectedly, the sacred domain expert's blood and chi became chaotic, and he was forced to take a few steps back. Damn it! Qin Lei's eyes were cold. He shouted, "Send a signal to ask for help. Let the royal guards come in with acid water. The burrowing dragon snake scales are too powerful. We must use acid water to corrode them in order to penetrate them." As soon as he finished speaking, a xiao sound was heard. A red ray of light shot into the sky from the hands of a dragon guard. That was the signal of the royal guards. At the same time, the ashen crane raised his staff and a milky white battle energy shot into the sky. With a wung sound, a white ray of light shot into the sky. It seemed that he was also sending a signal to the outside. Not good. Chu Huayin held his sword and said, "Commander, they should have other surprise teams. What should we do?" "Don't worry. There's still Feng Jixing. Let's kill that old thing Ashen Crane first. We can't let him step into the main hall." "Yes." At this moment, the signals from both sides appeared one after another. It seemed that there was some kind of tacit understanding. The royal guards of the East Barracks were a little shocked. Chiliarch Bailey immediately stood up and mounted his horse with his sword. He said, "Something happened in the palace. First and second barracks, get on your horses and follow me to reinforce them. The rest of you stay here and guard the east gate of Deer Cry Garden." Yes. Everyone got on their horses. However, not long after Bailey left, the sound of horse hooves could be heard in the darkness. A group of chivalrous house wanderers rushed over like a tornado. They were led by Ji Yang, who had the strength of a heavenly king, and Li Qianxuan, who had the strength of a heavenly venerable. There were also many Jin Zun, silver venerable and bronze venerable wanderers. How could the few hundred royal guards resist them? Shield wall, bows and arrows. Giant shields formed an impenetrable wall, and spears poked out from the gaps of the shield wall. The imperial guards who stayed behind did not suffer any counterattacks. They pushed the line forward, and the spears pierced through the rogue swordsmen and venerables, killing them one by one. For a moment, the people of the House of Chivalry could not take it. This was the sharpness of an army's battle. Bows and arrows. Nearly 100 royal guards shot their arrows. The sharp arrows quickly fell into the crowd of people from the House of Chivalry and killed dozens of people. At this moment, a dignified voice sounded, "Move aside, let me do it." Jiang made his move. He leaped from the back of his horse and raised his right palm in midair. Blood-colored battle aura swirled around him. He roared, "What bullsh***t royal guards of the Empire? Break!" Boom. A giant blood-red palm smashed into the shield formation, instantly scattering the shields like a gale sweeping away fallen leaves. Ji Yang was the first to charge into the crowd of Imperial guards. His palms danced wildly, each strike carrying a wave of battle chi. His attacks were ruthless, killing dozens of Imperial guards in the blink of an eye. The Imperial guards, on the other hand, couldn't hurt him. After all, the battle armor around him was too thick, and it was difficult for those without martial souls to penetrate it. In less than 5 minutes, the 600 Imperial guards were completely crushed. More than half of them were dead, but the remaining were still holding onto their weapons and fighting bitterly. It was only because of the iron and blood rule that Feng Jixing gave them. The Imperial guards would rather die than surrender. Jiang did not stay for long. He led his men and quickly broke through the Imperial army's encampment and rode straight to Deer Cry Park. In the darkness of the night, nearly 2,000 members of the House of Chivalry approached the core of the Empire's soul, Emperor Qin Jin. Chapter 160. Buzz. The impact of the fierce battle between the Sanctuary and the Heaven State created waves of tremors that came from underground. For a moment, the officials gathered in the main hall could no longer sit still. One by one, they stood up to watch the battle in the inner courtyard. There, the roars of wild beasts and the roars of the royal guards could be heard, as well as the screams of people on the verge of death. Minister Luo Xing's face was a little shocked. "Your Majesty, the attacker is Tsang Baihe, an important guest of the Divine Marquis residence." Qin Jin frowned. The Divine Marquis residence again. The State General Ling Nantian cupped his fists and said, "Your Majesty, that old man Tsang Baihe is really shameless. He has received so many favors from the emperors in the past, and now he has come to assassinate your Majesty. I will go chop off his head and present it to your Majesty." Qin Jin's heart sank. He knew that although Ling Nantian was good at leading troops, his own combat ability was far from Feng Jixing, Qin Lei and the others. He shook his head. "No. General Ling is the state general. How can you fight with such a despicable person? Guards, where is Feng Jixing?" Outside the main hall, Feng Jixing obeyed and entered. He cupped his fists. "Your Majesty, I am here." "What's the situation outside?" Qin Jin frowned. Feng Jixing said briefly, "Lord Qin Lei is leading the dragon guards to besiege Tsang Baihe, but Tsang Baihe has reared a dragon snake for more than 10,000 years, so the outcome is uncertain. In my opinion, why not let me cover your Majesty's retreat? The location of the main hall is too obvious. If Tsang Baihe breaks through the protection of the royal guards, the safety of your Majesty and the other officials will be in danger." "Yes." Qin Jin nodded. "Let's go to the West Court." "Yes." "Okay." Feng Jixing unsheathed his wind cutter and shouted, "Imperial Guards camp, follow me to protect His Majesty and the ministers to the West Court." At the east gate of Deer Song Park, about 300 Imperial Guards were guarding. Fire broke out in all directions. They did not know where to go and could only stay where they were. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, in the cold night the sharp arrows came along with the wind. In the blink of an eye, dozens of Imperial Guards guarding the gate were killed. One of the generals hurriedly shouted, "Defend with shield walls and use kerosene to block the way." The Imperial guards on the city wall threw down the oil barrels one after another. Bang, bang, bang. The barrels exploded and the black beach oil splattered all over the ground. Following that, torches were thrown down. In the blink of an eye, the only path to the east gate of Deer Cry Garden had turned into a sea of fire. Serve me with your arrows. Arrows rained down from the city walls, injuring several Bronze Elder Rangers who were charging at the front. Some of them were even shot to death. Ji Yang's face turned cold. He jumped off the horse and shouted, "Li Qinshuan water separation technique." "Yes, big brother." Li Qinshuan leaped forward and raised his palms. Immediately, streams of battle aura rapidly absorbed the water elements in the air. He abruptly pushed his palms forward and then slowly separated them. Immediately, the streams of water elements pushed the flames to the sides as if they had a mind of their own. This kind of fire extinguishing technique was truly amazing. However, Li Qinshuan, who was using the water separation technique, was not in a good condition either. His face was covered in sweat, and in the blink of an eye, his battle energy was almost overdrawn. Charge in. Ji Yang took the opportunity to mount his horse and charge forward with everyone. His battle armor blocked the dense rain of arrows, and he punched out with his fist, directly reducing the east gate of Deer Song Park to dust. This gate was made of wood, so it had no defensive power at all. Furthermore, Deer Song Park was originally a palace for the Emperor to patrol. It was originally not designed to be used for defense, so naturally, it could not withstand a single blow. A group of rangers quickly rode their horses and followed Ji Yang into the garden. The 600 Imperial guards could not stop them even if they wanted to. After all, the other party had a level 74 Heavenly King. Shoo, there was a sharp caw in the air, and a black-feathered crow landed on Li Qinshuan's shoulder. His eyes shone with a demonic light and he suddenly said, "Big brother, Qin Jin has gone to the west court. We'll pass through the Imperial Garden from here and catch them off guard." Okay. The moonlight was like water. The snow a few miles away from Deer Cry Park had not completely melted yet. Amidst the clattering of hooves, the iron hooves left black spots on the snow. The curved hooves left marks on the snow, like the waning moon treading on the snow. In the distance, flames shot into the sky, and they could already hear the battle cries coming from Deer Song Park. Wei Chou frowned and said, "Are we already too late?" "It's not too late as long as we are here." Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and pulled out the burning prairie sword. She said, "The south gate is intact. Let's kill our way through the broken north gate. Full speed ahead." Yes. Over 300 Imperial guards of the Eagle Nest camp rushed over and passed through the destroyed east gate. Lin Muyu looked at the broken gate and couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. Who could have such a strong fist force? It was probably Ji Yang, wasn't it? Or the Pale Crane. In the west garden of Deer Song Park, there used to be a herd of tamed longhorn deer. At the moment there was a chaotic battle outside. Nearly 100 longhorn deer were stamping their hooves anxiously in the pen. Under the protection of a group of civil and military officials, Qin Jin sat in a side hall of Deer Cry Garden. He looked at the fire outside from afar and sighed. He blamed himself endlessly in his heart, yet he asked, "Where is Her Highness Yin?" "Her Highness Yin is bathing in the hot spring in the south garden." A servant said, "Send someone to find Her Highness Yin." "Yes." "No." Qin Jin raised his arm and said, "Feng Jixing, you will personally lead 200 elite Imperial guards to the south garden to protect Her Highness Yin. You must ensure Xiao Yin's safety." Feng Jixing was stunned. "But Your Majesty, the west garden is already short of soldiers, and there is a group of strong soldiers from the House of Chivalry outside. I am worried that here." "Don't say any more. Go and protect Her Highness Yin." "Yes." Feng Jixing cupped his fists and led the crowd away with his wind cutter. Before he left, he said, "Once the traders from the House of Chivalry come in, immediately open the pen and let the longhorn deer rush out. Maybe they can delay them for a while. I will come back as soon as I find Her Highness Yin." "Yes." Luo Lai cupped his fists and nodded. Less than 5 minutes after Feng Jixing left, the wall of the west garden was suddenly blasted open with a boom. Gravel flew everywhere and the torches outside the wall were abnormally dense. At least 1,000 rangers were outside the wall, eyeing them covetously. Ji Yang was surrounded by his combat energy. He stepped on the broken rocks and entered the west garden with a faint smile on his face. The time to kill the incapable ruler has come. Rangers charge. The Imperial Army's 1,000-man commander Luo Lai immediately led a group of Imperial Army soldiers to welcome them. At the same time he opened the beast pen. Immediately, A herd of longhorn deers rushed out while howling, catching the rangers off guard. Many of them were stabbed by the longhorn deer's sharp horns, and some were even trampled to death. Kill. Ji Yang suddenly rushed forward with his combat energy in his palm. With a sudden blow, he blasted an Imperial Guard into a pile of minced meat. His strength was so tyrannical that it left people speechless. A group of Jin Zun and Silver Venerable Rangers rushed in with their swords. The scene once again turned into a chaotic battle. Protect Her Majesty! Protect Her Majesty! The civil and military officials shouted loudly. But who could protect Qin Jin at this time? Ji Yang, Li Qianxuan, and the other Heaven Realm experts launched their attacks, and the situation became completely one-sided. The 200 Imperial Guards led by Luo Lai were killed one after another, and in the blink of an eye, there were only 50 people left, and even Luo Lai himself was injured. One of his arms was fractured by Ji Yang, and his arm was hanging by his side, and he could not even hold his longsword steadily. Gritting his teeth, Luo Lai switched to his left hand to hold his sword. But he was not familiar with it, and he was sent flying by Ji Yang with a palm strike. General Luo Lai. Qin Jin gritted his teeth and shouted, "Stop fighting. You should not die like this. If the people from the House of Chivalry really want to kill me, then kill them. After I die, Qin Yin will be the ruler, and the empire will not be destroyed." Ji Yang could not help but laugh. "Qin Jin, do you think your daughter can still live? Ah. Rangers, kill them all. Leave no one alive. I'm going to change the empire's territory today." Just at this moment, the wall at the side suddenly collapsed with a bang, creating a huge gap. A group of people wearing the armor of the Imperial Guard appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The person at the front was impressively a young general holding a flaming longsword. His white robes fluttered in the wind. Suddenly, he opened his palm and let go of the longsword. A dense flame shrouded his palm and the longsword began to spin rapidly. Using fire to control the sword, Lin Muyu urged her horse forward with the longsword in her hand, and her target was Ji Yang. "Lin Yan, it's you." Ji Yang recognized Lin Muyu at a glance. He could not help but shout angrily, "You shameless villain, so you are also a lackey of the Emperor. Say what you want." Lin Muyu charged at Ji Yang with great momentum. She leaped from her horse and controlled the burning prairie sword with her palms, striking at Ji Yang with a mighty strike. Ji Yang had to fight Lin Muyu with all his strength. He put his palms together in front of his chest, and his vigorous battle chi condensed into a huge shield. He shouted in a low voice, "Ascending Void Shield." Boom! The dragon flame spiral strike collided with the ascending void shield, and the battle chi instantly erupted. The impact made the group of civil and military officials almost unable to open their eyes. The rapidly spiraling True Dragon Origin fire tore through the Ascending Void Shield's battle chi defense bit by bit. In fact, the Ascending Void Shield was an enhanced version of battle armor. The moment the Ascending Void Shield was torn apart, the power of the spiral strike was also exhausted. Ding! With a sword cry, the burning prairie sword was shaken, and its power was exhausted. However, Lin Muyu raised her hand and grabbed the longsword in the air. She shouted, "Fire Dragon, come out." Battle chi poured into the blade, and she directly launched a sword soul attack. The fire dragon roared and rushed out through the blade, directly hitting Ji Yang's chest. Ji Yang had already consumed more than 50% of his battle chi along the way. Just now, he used the Ascending Void Shield to block Lin Muyu's spiral strike, and at least 20% of his strength was consumed. Now, how could he block the sword soul attack of the burning prairie sword? There was a burning pain in his chest. What was worse, in Ji Yang's eyes, he clearly saw Lin Muyu rushing over like a ghost, and her fist was surrounded by the familiar all-living stars. The arrogant dragon regrets. Ji Yang instantly felt regret in his heart. Moreover, this time Lin Muyu had already summoned the Green Gourd Martial Soul, and her strength was greatly increased. It was the third glory with 100% strength. "Protect the great wandering chess envoy," Li Qianxuan shouted, and hurriedly stood in front of Ji Yang, her palms forming a shield. Bang! With a loud sound, Li Qianxuan and Lin Muyu were both celestial venerables, but they were not as strong as the Seven Glory Dark Force. Li Qianxuan was directly hit by the palm, and blood spurted out of his mouth. To make matters worse, the power of the Third Glory went through Li Qianxuan's chest and directly hit Ji Yang's abdomen. After a few steps back, a trace of blood flowed from the corner of Ji Yang's mouth. "Charge over and kill Qin Jin, or else no one will leave." Flames of madness burned in Ji Yang's eyes. Lin Muyu's aura was also surging. After using the Third Glory, her battle chi seemed to have been drained, and she needed a few seconds to recover. Standing in the distance, she said calmly, "Royal guards, protect His Majesty and the ministers." "Yes." Wei Chou and the others all pulled out their swords, activated their martial souls, and charged at the group of rangers. Chapter 161. The Eagle Guards. It's the Eagle Guards. The officials cheered. Lin Muyu's arrival gave them hope of survival. "Your Majesty." Lin Muyu did not participate in the battle. Instead, she turned around and bowed to Qin Jin. "I came late. I should have sensed it earlier, but I could not see through Ji Yang and Li Qianxuan's thoughts. It is my fault that Deer Garden was attacked." Qin Jin shook his head with a smile. "No, you came at the right time. You have done a good job." Lin Muyu nodded and stood by Qin Jin's side to protect him. He did not make a move. When he approached Deer Cry Park, he had already used his spirit pulse technique to sense the aura fluctuations of the surrounding experts. Within the vicinity of Deer Cry Park, the white crane and the 12,300-year-old dragon serpent's aura were the strongest, followed by Ji Yang. Ji Yang's aura was getting weaker and weaker as the battle wore on, so Lin Muyu had chosen to fight Ji Yang the moment he entered Deer Cry Park. He had even used his strongest killing moves, the Dragon Flame Spiral Break and the Third Star, to cripple Ji Yang's battle strength in one round. The next few minutes were his time to recover. Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the rest of the Eagle Guards had always been the Imperial Guards outside the capital. They were only responsible for patrolling and gathering information. They did not usually have the chance to protect the Emperor. That was why the opportunity before them was so precious. They fought the Rangers with all their might. 300 of them fought to a draw against more than 1,000 Rangers. Not long after, more than 1,000 Imperial Guards guarding the west gate of Deer Cry Garden charged over. With a pincer attack from both sides, the House of Chivalry was instantly defeated. Silver Venerable, Bronze Venerable, and Iron Venerable Wanderers died under the arrows. Even 2 Golden Venerable Wanderers were killed by Wei Qiu and Xiahou Sang. Ji Yang and Li Qianxuan fled, and the Imperial Guards did not pursue them. Instead, they let the Imperial Guards pursue them. "Lin Muyu?" Qin Jin suddenly raised an eyebrow and said, "Xiao Yin is still in the southern court. I wonder how she's doing right now. Feng Jixing is bringing people over right now. You should hurry over as well. Perhaps you'll be able to help Feng Jixing." Lin Muyu stared blankly for a moment, but didn't say anything. She carried her sword and used the falling star steps to rush to the west court. Rumble! A violent rumbling sound came from underground. Feng Jixing looked at the movement under his feet and frowned. He said, "The dragon serpent has burrowed back into the ground. Where are Her Highness Yin's people?" "His Highness, you can stay in the side hall's hot spring. We'll stand guard here," said one of the Imperial Army's Kiliarchs. Feng Jixing narrowed his eyes and said, "I wonder how Qin Lei, Chu Huaying and the rest are doing in their battle against Song Baihe. Sigh, they came so suddenly this time that we were simply caught off guard." The Chiliarch smiled. "Lord Commander, there's no need to blame yourself. We've all done our best." And at this moment there was a sudden bang. The ground trembled and a huge black figure rushed out. It was the dragon serpent. It seemed to have received an order from Song Baihe. The dragon serpent came alone to look for Qin Yin. The moment its huge head emerged from the ground, it opened its mouth and bit 2 Imperial Army cavalrymen to death. Its head shook violently and tore them, along with their horses, into minced meat. Clang! Feng Jixing unsheathed his sword and shouted, "Bastard, attack with me and kill him." The dragon serpent seemed to be mocking them. It suddenly raised its head and a ball of fire appeared on its neck. It was about to attack with a dragon's breath. Feng Jixing was stunned and shouted, "Be careful to dodge." His martial soul was the purple electric flame wolf, which was focused on attacking. He didn't have a defensive skill like Lin Muyu's green gourd. He held his sword with both hands and suddenly spun it like the wind. With the support of his battle energy, it actually formed a huge light shield. He shouted, "Blade dance!" Wah! Scorching flames spewed out and engulfed Feng Jixing's figure. At the same time, more than 10 Imperial Army soldiers around him were burned to ashes. The flames burned along the pavilion, and in the blink of an eye, the side hall of the West Court was on fire. The moment the flames dissipated, Feng Jixing rushed out of the smoke. His face was full of traces of smoke, and his eyes were filled with hatred. The wind-cutter sword turned into a cold light and went straight for the dragon serpent's neck. The first style of the wind blade, Desert Gale. Crack! The sword slashed on the scales and left a deep mark, but it didn't hurt the dragon serpent. On the contrary, the dragon serpent's head swayed rapidly, slamming heavily onto Feng Jishing's shoulder, sending him flying back along with his saber. A group of Imperial guards hurriedly went forward, but they were caught off guard by the dragon serpent's tail swiftly whipping past them. The group of Imperial guards were still standing there in a daze, but their bodies were already splattered with blood, their upper bodies were all snapped and fell down, actually becoming two halves. The cruelty of the massacre was unbearable. The maidservants in the side hall were dumbfounded, and Feng Jishing still held his sword and stood together with the dragon serpent. Rustle, rustle. Amidst the rustling sounds, Qin, who had just finished bathing, had already changed into a princess's armor. Her long hair was still wet, and she raised her hand to pick up the long sword beside her. She said to the maidservants, "You guys wait here. I'll go help Commander Feng Jishing." "No." One of the maidservants hurriedly knelt on the ground and said, "Your Highness is precious, how can you take such a risk?" This servant heard that the dragon serpent outside is a 10,000-year-old spirit beast. Even General Feng Jishing isn't its match. If anything happens to your Highness, we won't be able to bear the consequences of His Majesty's wrath. I hope that your Highness will reconsider. Wung. God-binding chains appeared around Qin like guardian spirits, and the maidservants with no cultivation dared to say a word. The God-binding chains were the martial souls of kings, and they contained the majesty of an emperor. It wasn't something that mortals could look directly at. But the moment Qin rushed out of the side hall with her sword, she saw the dragon serpent's tail swaying in the air and drilling into the ground together with its body. Battle Chi swirled around the long sword in Feng Jishing's hand as he said angrily, "You killed so many of my men and you still want to leave?" With a leap, the courageous Imperial Army commander actually followed the dragon serpent into the cave. How can this be? The beautiful princess instantly felt guilty. She didn't have the courage to jump into the dark cave. She had been afraid of the dark since she was a child, and she didn't even blow out the light when she slept at night. A series of rumbling sounds came from underground, and the dragon serpent's tunnel caused the ground to tremble as if there was an earthquake. A few minutes later there was a sudden bang, and the dragon serpent appeared again. It was impressively in the side hall's hot spring pool. As the water splashed, the dragon serpent let out a roar and swallowed a maidservant. It chewed in big mouthfuls and fresh blood flowed to the ground. Bastard! Qin gritted her teeth and flew over. She didn't wait for the dragon serpent to get close, and she directly raised her arm. Battle Chi condensed in the distance, and with a schwa, a golden light burst out, and the god-binding chains broke out from the ground and bombarded the dragon serpent's lower jaw. Immediately, a few large scales flew off, and one could faintly see the dragon serpent's scarlet blood dripping down. Feng Jishing grabbed the dragon serpent's tail, and he held it tightly with one hand while the other held the windcutter saber. He hacked at the dragon serpent's body, and it looked very strange and comical. Hiss, hiss! The dragon serpent's huge body twisted and it went straight for Qin. It opened its mouth and swallowed her. Qin hurriedly summoned the god-binding chains, and with all her might she summoned 6 god-binding chains in front of her chest. However, with a ping sound the dragon serpent still broke through them. The blood-red tongue spat out, and it directly wrapped around Qin's arm, pulling her towards its mouth. "It's over." Qin's heart instantly turned to ashes. She waved her sword and slashed, but it was impossible to cut through the extremely tough tongue of the dragon serpent. Moreover, the dragon serpent's strength was frightening, and it dragged her towards its frightening bloody mouth. She couldn't help but close her eyes and tears filled her eyes. She didn't expect that she would still be buried in the dragon serpent's mouth after escaping from the dragon serpent's poison last time. Just when Qin was in despair, she suddenly felt a warm feeling under her feet. With a rustling sound, a green gourd vine soared into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, it wrapped around Qin's body trying to pull her back. She hurriedly turned her head, and saw Lin Muyu rushing over with the burning prairie sword. The gourd surrounded her, and the burning prairie sword was piercingly cold. She brazenly slashed at the thick and long tongue of the dragon serpent. It still couldn't be cut. Even Qin's god-binding chains, known as the #1 offensive martial spirit, couldn't cut through the tongue. Naturally, Lin Muyu's 10th grade green gourd couldn't cut through it either. However, Lin Muyu was anxious and her eyes turned cold. She opened her mouth and bit the dragon serpent's tongue. Its teeth were about to break, but it was strange that the tongue could withstand the attack of the god-binding chains, but it seemed to be unable to withstand Lin Muyu's sharp teeth. When it bit again, a fishy taste rushed into its throat. It had bitten through the tongue. Hiss, hiss! the dragon serpent was in pain and hurriedly retracted its tongue. Meanwhile, Feng Jixing had already taken the opportunity to carry the wind cutter to the side of the dragon serpent. With a spin of the blade he shouted, "Hot sand gold!" After 3 consecutive slashes the dragon serpent flew back, but before it could feel proud, the dragon serpent's tail had already mysteriously whipped Feng Jixing's shoulder. With a kacha sound, his left arm had already been broken. With a miserable groan, he fell to a corner of the side hall, and his face was deathly pale. "You Highnessine, be careful." "No, the dragon serpent is too fast," Qinin said. Lin Muyu had already moved forward with her sword, and the wall of the gourd protected the front of Qinin. As expected, the dragon serpent's devouring attack and whipping tail came one after another. With 3 consecutive bangs, the wall of the winter gourd was instantly shattered, and Lin Muyu felt a sweet taste in her throat as she crashed into the wall behind her. She was in a sorry state. Feng Jixing's broken left arm hung low, and with his right hand holding the blade, he stood up again. His gaze landed on the dragon serpent's neck and suddenly his eyes lit up. He said, One of the scales on its back has been corroded. It must have been corroded by the Imperial Army's acid. I'll hold the dragon serpent back, and you think of a way to pin it to the ground so that it can't dig or move again." Lin Muyu struggled to get up from the ground, and nodded with a disheveled expression. Not far away a group of Imperial Army soldiers stood there, but no one dared to go forward. A 10,000-year-old spiritual beast and 3 Heaven Realm elites. This was not a battle that belonged to them, and if they went forward they would just be cannon fodder. Chapter 162. Streams of wind blades swirled around the wind slasher saber. When the dragon serpent opened its mouth to devour, Feng Jixing suddenly waved his saber and quickly created a hurricane. Instantly, this hurricane directly washed away half of the roof of the side hall. This was one of his famous ultimate moves, Berserk Saber Storm. Every point in the storm seemed to be mixed with the sharpness of an invincible blade. The violent wind swept the dragon snake's head, and in the blink of an eye, the scales on the dragon snake's head were swept away. But it still couldn't break through the armor. Bang! The dragon snake's heavy bite attack was neutralized by Feng Jixing's blade, and he himself vomited blood and fell into the corner of the jagged wall. However, it also seemed to confirm his promise to restrain Lin Muyu. Whoosh! Stepping on the starlight, Lin Muyu forcibly gathered the battle energy around her and used the falling star steps to jump onto the dragon snake's back. She quickly found the wound that Feng Jixing mentioned. However, when she was still a short distance away, the dragon snake had already raised its head and stared at her with a pair of emotionless eyes. "I'll restrain it." On the ground, Qinin let out a soft cry. She suddenly raised her right hand and condensed her left hand into a finger. She lowered her head and muttered to herself. Her battle energy flowed rhythmically and the long sword hummed. The god-binding chains also began to vibrate rhythmically around her body. That's right, it was a rhythm similar to the sound of a zither. Just like her name, Qinin, this sound wave attack turned into a substantial force and went straight for the dragon snake's brain. Wah! An invisible attack directly penetrated the armor. The dragon snake was instantly stunned. It shook its head frantically and pounced on Qinin in the next moment. Bang! Qinin spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. She had also lost her sword. Her face was deathly pale and she had lost the ability to resist. Lin Muyu took advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to leap up. She reached into her cosmos sack and grabbed the hard and cold spear handle. With a wung sound she pulled it out. A miraculous scene occurred. She pulled out a spear that was at least 2 meters long from the small cosmos sack. It was the pear blossom spear. She held the spear with both hands and thrust it into the corroded wound on the back of the dragon snake. Blood splattered everywhere. The spear had pierced a small part of its body, but there was still a large part outside. No matter what, the spear could not pierce through. It was as if there was some kind of defensive layer in the dragon snake's body. Gritting his teeth, he decided to go all out. Leaping up once again, he raised both his fists in the air. Around his fists, streams of celestial bodies condensed, and an incomparably violent strike went straight for the handle of the pear blossom spear. 3 luminaries calamity. Bang! It was a clean strike. The 3 luminaries' power was infused into the spear handle, and the pear blossom spear immediately pierced into the dragon snake's body. With a kacha sound, the spear head had already pierced into the rocks on the ground. He felt a sense of emptiness in his body. After using the 3 luminaries calamity twice in a row, he was almost at his limit. However, when he looked up, he discovered that the front half of the dragon snake's body was crazily twisting as it charged toward Qin. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow this empire's princess. Lin Muyu did not have time to consider anything. He dove down in a few steps and opened his arms to hug Qin. However, it seemed like it was too late. There was a fishy smell behind him, and in the blink of an eye, it was already dark. He and Qin had entered a fishy and dark space. They had been swallowed by a huge snake. Qin was already severely injured. She opened her eyes weakly, but she could not see anything. She could only feel Lin Muyu's warm embrace. She called out softly, "You." Lin Muyu hugged her tightly. "Don't open your eyes. The dragon snake has venom in its body, and it will blind your eyes. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. We were just eaten by the snake." It was easy for him to say, but he had long wanted to die. Qin closed her eyes and buried her face in Lin Muyu's neck. However, after the two of them entered the intestines of the dragon snake, there seemed to be barbs on the walls of the intestines, and they kept sliding down. Both she and Lin Muyu knew that if they went any further, there would be a pool of acid. That was where the dragon snake melted its food. In the blink of an eye, the lack of air made it difficult for Qin to breathe. She quickly lost consciousness, and the arm that was hugging Lin Muyu was about to let go. Lin Muyu's heart was in a mess. He could not let Qin die like this. Otherwise all his efforts would be in vain. He hurriedly used his martial soul. Immediately the gourd vines passed through the scales of the dragon snake, and the gourd leaves bloomed on the outside, absorbing the fresh air outside. His martial soul and physique merged into one, and the fresh air was absorbed by Lin Muyu in the blink of an eye. In the enclosed space full of the dragon snake's gastric juice and acid, Lin Muyu held Qin's face and kissed her red lips, passing the fresh air to her. Qin's delicate body trembled slightly. Her last consciousness let her know what had happened. Lin Muyu was using his life to save her life. Furthermore, this was her first kiss. Although she liked this man, this space was so inappropriate. Not to mention the fact that they were surrounded by the dragon snake's gastric juice, there was also a pile of broken limbs and blood. She could even feel the corpse of an Imperial Army soldier behind her. No matter how she looked at it, this scene could not be considered romantic. What a pity. The romantic first kiss that a young girl had been looking forward to for 20 years was completed in such a shameful manner. Lin Muyu naturally did not know what Qin was thinking. He and she were still being hooked by the dragon snake's intestines and sent down to the lower layers. They were about to be digested. He hugged Qin tightly with one hand, and his other hand grabbed everywhere. Suddenly, with a "pa" sound, he seemed to have grabbed onto something as hard as iron. It was the handle of the pear blossom spear, a life-saving straw. He suddenly exerted strength in his arm and slowly spat out his battle chi. He gave an order with his thoughts, and the purgatory chains attacked. "Come out, Aish Qilin." The 11,000-year spear spirit Aish Qilin pounced out of the spear with a furious roar. Its sharp claws quickly tore everything in the dragon snake's stomach. Although it was only a short-lived attack, it completely destroyed the dragon snake's internal organs and froze everything around it with frost. This made Lin Muyu and Qin stay here, and they were not sent into the dragon snake's stomach. His strength was quickly overdrawn. This time, even Lin Muyu himself had difficulty breathing. The consecutive bitter battles had almost exhausted all his strength. Fortunately, the surrounding liquid had already frozen. Qin, who was in his arms, was no longer moving. She had fainted, and it was unknown whether she was dead or alive. Lin Muyu could not help but laugh at himself. Suddenly he felt dizzy and he fainted while hugging Qin. What's going on? A group of Imperial Guards and Imperial Guards rushed into the side hall of the west courtyard with torches in their hands. Qin walked in surrounded by the crowd, but he was shocked to see the huge dragon snake's corpse lying in front of him. There was still the dragon snake's beast spirit lingering in the air. Qin's heart was in a mess and he shouted, "Xiaoyin! Xiaoyin, where is she?" The maids were so frightened that they did not dare to speak. In the corner, Feng Jixing, who was seriously injured, muttered, "Her Highness Yin and you were both swallowed by the dragon snake. Hurry, cut open the dragon snake's abdomen, and they might still be saved. Hurry!" Qin Lei, who was covered in blood, leaped forward with the thunder-split saber in hand. He fiercely slashed a few times with the saber, but the hard scales of the dragon snake were repelled. Qin gritted his teeth, raised his hand and threw his sword to Qin Lei. "I'll use my Desolation Sword." The Desolation Sword, a 6th-tier Saint-grade sword, was known as the strongest weapon in Lanyan City. Pa. Qin Lei held the Desolation Sword with both hands and muttered to himself. His god-binding chain's martial soul lingered around the Desolation sword, and immediately the Saint-grade sword glowed with a dazzling light. Accompanied by Qin Lei's movements, the sword cut open the dragon snake's scales with a ka-ka-ka sound. In the blink of an eye, a huge bloody hole was torn open, and the scene inside was immediately revealed to everyone. Icy mist rose and the blood condensed into ice. Amidst the severed limbs, Lin Muyu maintained the posture of holding Qin Yin tightly. He flipped over and landed on the ground from within the dragon snake's abdomen. The white battle robe behind him had already been dyed the color of blood, and there were shards of ice on his face. Qin Yin, on the other hand, buried her face in Lin Muyu's chest, not moving at all. Xiaoyin. Qin Jin's entire body trembled, and tears instantly flowed down his face. You. Chu Huayin looked at Lin Muyu in pain, and he clenched his fists tightly. However, Qin Lei furrowed his brows and said, "Your Majesty, is Her Highness still breathing?" Qin Jin took a step forward and wanted to hug Qin Yin, but he was unable to separate her from Lin Muyu's embrace. He hurriedly said, "Quickly melt their ice and quickly save Her Highness." Yes. Chu Huayin flew forward, ignoring the bloody wound on his shoulder. With a low shout, he covered Lin Muyu and Qin Yin's bodies with his palms. His battle energy rapidly increased, and it turned into a warm and gentle force that seeped into their bodies. Among everyone present, Qin Lei and Feng Jixing's power was too overbearing. Only Chu Huayin's power leaned towards the gentle side, and it wouldn't hurt the two who were already sealed in ice. As the ice and snow rapidly melted, Qin Yin gently leaned against Lin Muyu's chest. Her body slowly twitched and she slowly opened her eyes. She had actually woken up even faster than Lin Muyu. The moment she opened her eyes, she saw that Lin Muyu's eyes were tightly shut, and her face was ashen. Qin Yin thought that Lin Muyu had already died, and she couldn't help but feel sorrow. Tears flowed out of her eyes as she said, You can't die, you." Chu Huayin tugged at her from the side and said, "Your Highness?" Qin Yin immediately pushed him away angrily. Don't touch me, don't touch me." Chu Huayin angrily touched his nose. "Your Highness, you isn't dead yet. He's still breathing, ah?" Qin Yin immediately put away her fierce expression and smiled at Lin Muyu. She cupped his face and said, If you aren't dead, can you answer me?" Cough, cough. Lin Muyu suddenly coughed violently and coughed out the blood clot in her throat. She frowned and said, "Xiaoyin, my chest hurts because of you." Qin Yin looked down and realized that she was in a mess in the dragon snake's stomach. Her clothes were already in disarray and she no longer looked like a princess. Her clothes had slid down, and her two blood-stained peaks were pressed tightly against Lin Muyu's chest armor. Her figure was already very impressive, and her two peaks were naturally not light. It was no wonder that Lin Muyu would say that her chest hurt. In an instant, the proud princess's face turned red. She scrambled to her feet and tightened her cloak. She said, "Hurry up and help you up. Let's see how his injuries are." In the corner, Feng Jixing lay there weakly. His eyes were filled with hidden bitterness as he casually said, "Who's more injured than me? Why doesn't anyone care about me?" Chu Huayin walked forward. "Sai, I'm here to care about you. Go away." Chapter 163. Taking in large mouthfuls of fresh air, Lin Muyu's martial soul's power was like a dried-up pool of water, and at this time after escaping, it finally began to gather into a stream bit by bit. After about 5 minutes, her complexion looked much better, but the wounds on her body looked a little scary. Qin Jin supported Qin Yin's arm and asked with concern, "Xiaoyin, are your injuries serious?" "Not serious, father doesn't need to worry too much." Qin Yin tidied up her long hair that was covered in mucus and pouted, "But I need to find a place to take a bath. My body is so dirty and uncomfortable. Imperial father, can I borrow your central courtyard to take a bath?" Qin Jin couldn't help but laugh. "Someone bring Her Highness to the central courtyard to take a bath." "Yes." Qin Yin turned to look at Lin Muyu and said, "You wait for me to tidy myself up before coming to see you. You are the same, your whole body is dirty, quickly go and take a bath?" "Yes, Your Highness." Lin Muyu smiled respectfully. Qin Jin raised his eyebrows and said, "Someone bring Lin Muyu to the west courtyard to take a bath and prepare a new set of Imperial Guard armor for him." "Yes, Your Majesty." Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, Chu Huaijin and the others walked over one after another and asked about Lin Muyu's injuries. He was covered in blood and looked too scary. No matter how they looked, he didn't look fine. Are you sure you're okay?" Chu Huaijin frowned and said, "Look at you, it seems like you will die at any time. Don't force yourself. If anything happens to you, I won't be able to explain it to Yao." Don't worry. Lin Muyu patted the broken breastplate on his chest and smiled. My body is fine. Oh right, I sent a letter to Sister Chu Yao and asked her to warn you guys as soon as possible. Did you guys receive the news? Qin Lei nodded his head. And I did receive the news, but it was slightly late. Miss Chu Yao came to inform me on her own. This, you tell her yourself. As he spoke, Qin Lei moved aside. Behind him was shockingly Chu Yao, who was dressed in a pure and clean spirit medicine department attire. Lin Muyu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Older sister, why did you come by yourself? Isn't it possible to pass messages through Yushu? Chu Yao's beautiful eyes were filled with reproach and worry as she said, You're still talking about it? I didn't tame a second messenger bird, so I had to rush here myself. The spiritual medicine department didn't have any extra war horses, so I spent a month's salary to buy one. I didn't expect you to be ahead of me. Haha. Lin Muyu was slightly embarrassed as she said, There was no other way. I was worried that something would happen in Deer Garden, so I directly went to the Eagle Nest camp and mobilized 300 people to rush over as reinforcements. Not far away, Qin Jin said with an extremely dignified smile, Lin Muyu, it's all thanks to the timely arrival of your 300 men from the Eagle Nest camp. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I and the other ministers would have been buried under the swords of the rebels from the House of Chivalry. Your Majesty has a flood of good fortune. Nothing will happen to you. After saying that, Lin Muyu almost had goosebumps. She thought to herself, when did she learn to say such flattering words? Qin Jin casually said a few words, then led the ministers to the central courtyard to discuss matters. Lin Muyu found the burning prairie sword and forcefully dug out the spirit stone of the 12,300-year-old dragon snake. Then she pulled out the pear blossom spear from the dragon snake's body, washed it, and put it into her cosmos sack. Then, accompanied by Chu Yao, Chu Huaying, and Feng Jixing, she went to the western courtyard to take a bath. The few people who had gone through the battle all needed to take a bath and wash up. After all, each of them had a relatively special identity and status. It was a mistake for the people around the emperor to not be properly groomed. Brother Feng, this burrowing dragon, is dead. What about the white crane? Lin Muyu asked as they walked. Feng Jixing muttered to himself, then said, Qin Lei, Chu Huaying, and the other imperial guards surrounded the white crane. They used all kinds of weapons and even used fire attacks. Finally, they forced the white crane to escape. Now the white crane's whereabouts are unknown. Oh, Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. She said, I didn't expect that we actually didn't catch a single leader this time. The white crane escaped, and so did Ji Yang and Li Qianxuan. I've been undercover at the headquarters of the House of Chivalry for so long, but in the end I still couldn't find their assassination intentions. Is it as simple as changing the ruler of the empire? A cautious look flashed across Feng Jixing's face. He said, this matter, let's report it to His Majesty later. The House of Chivalry has been making things difficult for us again and again. It's time for us to take action. Yes. In the West Court, the bathing spot was actually also a hot spring. This was because this villa was built on a natural hot spring. When Lin Muyu took off her armor, Chu Yao stood at the side. She had no intention of leaving. She looked at the crisscrossed wounds on Lin Muyu's body and frowned slightly. She said, your body? Lin Muyu looked down and couldn't help but smile. She said, it's okay. I'll temper my skin a little and there won't be any scars left. It won't affect my beauty. Don't leave any hidden injuries or partial disabilities. Hurry up and take a bath. After that, come to me. I'll give you a massage. Massage? Lin Muyu's eyes widened. She couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. After taking a bath, she put on a tight-fitting shirt and went outside. Chu Yao was waiting there. She took out her silver needles and pouted. Lie down. Oh. Lin Muyu lay down according to her words. Chu Yao immediately inserted 7 or 8 silver needles into the acupoints. Then she opened her fingers. A faint green true energy was enshrouded between her fingers. It gently flowed through Lin Muyu's meridians. Suddenly, a refreshing and comfortable feeling spread throughout her body. The blockage in her meridians was slowly eliminated by Chu Yao. What kind of treatment is this? Lin Muyu was surprised. She said, Sister Chu Yao, in my hometown there are many girls who are good at massaging, but there is no one who has such a brilliant technique. Chu Yao chuckled. She said, Idiot you, how is this a massage technique? This is the divine oracle hand recorded in the God of Medicine's tome. It's a superb technique that can cure internal diseases through the skin. As a member of the spiritual medicine department, I naturally can't just learn alchemy. The divine oracle hand is enough to make me an excellent medical officer. Haha, that's great, Lin Muyu said cheerfully. If I have my own army in the future, I'll definitely hire you as the chief medical officer with a high salary. Really? Chu Yao giggled. She said, I'm not only good at alchemy and the divine oracle hand. I've already mastered using fire and wind for your 4-elemental sword control. However, I'm still not good enough with lightning and water. In time, I'll not only be an excellent medical officer, but also an excellent general. Oh, you're quite open-minded. Lin Muyu couldn't help but tease. Chu Yao looked at Lin Muyu's strong muscles and finally blushed. She said, all right, put on your armor. Your body is basically fine now. Remember to apply medicine. Okay. At this moment, Chu Huaying and Feng Jixing had also returned from bathing. Chu Huaying had already put on his armor and was extraordinarily handsome. Chu Yao's older brother was indeed an astonishingly handsome man, but Feng Jixing was less handsome than Chu Huaying and more carefree. He clutched his chest and limped as he said, damn, the dragon snake that the pale crane tamed almost crippled me. My cultivation at the second heavenly stage is indeed far from enough. Big brother Feng has reached the second heavenly stage? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. That's right. Feng Jixing raised his hand and waved. Instantly, his battle chi turned into a piece of armor that stopped around his arm. He said with a smile, didn't you see the battle armor that I condensed when I was fighting the dragon snake? Oh, I didn't pay much attention, brat. Feng Jixing pursed his lips and said with a smile, that's right. This is all thanks to your dream of the extreme. Otherwise, Qin Lei and I wouldn't have reached the Heavenly King stage so quickly. Thank you so much, you. You're welcome. That's right. Dream of the extreme is a recipe that has been lost for a long time. Furthermore, only Medicine King level medicine refiners can refine it. I'm afraid that even Miss Chu Yao might not be able to refine it. Brat, how many more skills do you have that you haven't shown us? Haha. Lin Muyu scratched her head awkwardly. Everyone has some secrets. Don't ask me about this. Besides, my medicine refinement skills are just some small tricks that aren't worth mentioning. Big brother Feng, don't look into this. I won't harm you guys. And that's true. Feng Jixing lay heavily on the bed. His face was a little pale. Indeed, his injuries were the heaviest. After all, he was the one who had fought the dragon serpent for the longest time. The 12,300-year-old dragon serpent was equivalent to a level 90 Saint Venerable. He who had just become a level 70 Heavenly Venerable was able to contend with the dragon serpent without dying. This was already a sign of his strength. Chu Huaying looked up and said, Yao healed General Feng's injuries. His martial soul is the purple electric flame wolf. It's an idiot that's only good at attacking but not good at self-healing. It can't be compared to Yu's gourd. Feng Jixing grinned. Damn it. Whose martial soul are you calling an idiot? Your purple marten is the idiot. Chu Yao raised her hand. The purple marten martial soul emerged from her body and stood on her shoulder. She smiled and said, Imperial Guard Commander Feng Jixing, if you say that the purple marten is an idiot, then I won't heal your injuries. Feng Jixing hurriedly changed his words. He smiled and said, I'm saying that Chu Huaying's purple marten is an idiot. Miss Chu Yao's purple marten is obviously very smart. Chu Yao giggled. She applied some medicine to Feng Jixing's wounds. Then she used the Holy Oracle's hand to open up the blockages in his blood vessels and the injuries in his joints. She also bandaged Feng Jixing's wounds and put a splint on his broken arm. Speaking of which, Feng Jixing was indeed a tough guy. His arm had been broken for so long, but it was still hanging on his shoulder. He actually didn't cry out in pain at all. Not long after, an official walked in and said, Commander Feng Jixing, Lord Chu Huaying, and Lord Lin Muyu, His Majesty has summoned you to the central courtyard to discuss matters. Please follow me. Yes. Chu Huaying turned around and smiled at Chu Yao. We'll be back soon. Is Yao waiting for us here? No, I'll wait for you outside the central courtyard. Alright. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.